And that'll do it. Only seconds on the clock to kick off tonight's game. The undefeated Charter Panthers host the Eagles of St. John Paul II here at the Sportsplex in Coral Springs, Florida. We thank you for joining us tonight. Remember, you can watch HSPN all over the tube. Yes, we are featured on City TV tonight in Coral Springs, as well as featured all over the internet. As you can see, our streaming partners tonight that make this stuff go viral. Watch HSPN on Bleacher.com, FloridaVarsity.com, FloridaGridironPreps.com, HighSchoolFootballAmerica.com, NeverHadItSoGoodSportsRadio.com, and Florida High School Football, which is FloridaHSFootball.com. Only seconds on the clock here to kick it off. Can the Eagles take down the undefeated Panthers? Chris, what do you think?
Well, I think you can really sum it up in a few words. You're looking at redemption versus history.
There you go.
You've got Charter, of course, coming in. All systems go, rolling, coming off a 38-14 W last week against this same St. Paul team versus a team that's young, less than 10 seniors on their team, turned the ball over multiple times, and have to clean that up to have a shot at a team that's just simply on fire. They've set records, of course, with the number of wins, undefeated, coming off of a heartbreaker last year in the championship.
Against Calvary.
Exactly. They're trying to right that ship and keep it moving, and we'll see if they can get over the hump because they will face the winner of Pinecrest versus Calvary.
And that's a big game because Pinecrest and Charter are the only teams that have defeated this Charter football team thus far in the season. So a big situation we have tonight. I mean, back-to-back weeks with two teams playing each other. That's really interesting. So we talked about it last week. It was a slow start really for both teams.
Yes.
The Eagles came out early and no doubt had the momentum. And I can't forget it, and I know you can't forget it, and those that tuned in, a big touchdown callback for the Eagles early in the game, which I think really set the tone for the rest of the game. But the Panthers, like you said, have done some outstanding things this season, and what can you expect? So like you see, we've got the coin toss right here. The Panthers will receive here in the first quarter of play, and it's a pink out tonight representing breast cancer awareness tonight, so a lot of pink in the stadium, but ultimately excited to be here tonight. Yes. Ryan Stout alongside Chris Jenkins. If you joined us before, you know how we do it, but if it's your first time, don't forget, the Twitter feed is live. I have the Twitter action going on right in front of me. So at HSPN Sports, hit us up at any time during the broadcast. We hope if you're alumni, if you're a Charter fan, if you're an Eagle fan, we want you to tune in tonight. Show your support. Join the conversation. We love to talk to you guys on the Twitter feed. So at HSPN Sports throughout the entire broadcast, don't worry, we will be with you. Big shout out to those that made this possible tonight. Tonight's broadcast underwritten by the Keeping Dreams Alive Foundation. PlayingTheRecruitingGame.com and StealthRating.com. And don't forget, tonight is also, it's Thursday night. What we do every Thursday, Sports Talk Recruiting on Never Had It So Good Sports Radio. So I heard a little bird talk about they're listening to the broadcast right now, so it might be streaming. So if you get some time to tune in, Sports Talk Recruiting on Never Had It So Good Sports Radio. We're going through the modules. PlayingTheRecruitingGame.com has given us access to the modules every week talking about high school recruiting for all sports. Obviously, we feature heavily on the high school sports, but, hey, we got a good one tonight. We're glad you can join us here from the Sportsplex in Coral Springs. So impact players for tonight, nevertheless. Got some Panthers for you. Once again, Zach Weber is actually wearing number 44 tonight. A.J. Miller at the quarterback position. Kalen Carson, as well as C.J. Jackson Jr., Calvin Jackson Jr., 4 big-time athletes for the Panthers.
Well, and as the Panthers go, it's through Calvin Jackson Jr.
Yeah.
And he had a balling-out game last week, 2 interceptions and 2 touchdowns offensively. We'll see if he can be held in check. That was definitely one of Coach Snead's emphasis
right
tonight as we get it going. And back deep will be Charter to receive, and they will return it up across the 10. Now the 20. Got some room over the far side. Shakes the punter, still on his feet, and tripped up over the 50-yard line. Panthers coming out on fire. 1st and 10 inside of Eagle territory. Watch out.
And that's Nick Desposito, number 4, for the Panthers, and just out of reach. But getting back to Calvin Jackson Jr., I'm looking at the stat sheet right here provided by Max Preps, and this young man is leading this team in receiving yards with 40 receptions and 664 yards for the season so far. And that's just a fraction of the amount of passing yards this starting quarterback, A.J. Miller, with 1,698 yards for the season.
They're starting out great field position.
Yeah.
So hold on to your seats, folks. First possession of the contest for Charter. And they're going to go with a little option pass to Jackson. Got a little head of steam, tripped up. And that'll move it about 20 yards. And Panthers will have a fresh set of downs.
Well, the Panthers, no doubt, have established, I love their short game. Coach Miller, it's no big secret. He comes out. They have their game plan, and they attack the short game like none other. You're going to see a lot of slip screens tonight, depending on how these DBs lined up. And we got to see it last week. St. John Paul, they press a lot at the corner position. So we'll see A.J. Miller get to open up his arm a little bit tonight.
Throws a little screen pass to the opposite side to Jackson. And he barrels ahead, picks up about 10 or so. He's going to be right at the sticks. There is a flag, so we'll see if this one holds up. First series of the contest here, 11:13 on the clock. That will go against Charter. It'll back them up. But they have come out on a big-time return to get this one going. And we've got our first penalty of the contest that may play key. And this one's a holding, so we'll back Charter up 10 yards.
Well, it's like you said, Chris, early on, great field position for the Panthers, and it's dangerous, especially this early in the game, to give up field position with this high-powered offense. These guys, no doubt, are good at putting points on the board.
So a 1st and 20 situation as they keep it on the ground. A minimal gain. Aquaviva on the carry for Charter.
And speaking of points, talking about Jackson Jr., 78 points for the season. We got 13 touchdowns out of Jackson. He leads the bunch. Carson with 6, Weber with 4, and Miller with 3, which really leads the ranks. So these guys are very familiar with putting points on the board, so they will not be shy tonight.
So 2nd down situation, we got a 4 wide receiver set bunch set in your screen. As they go over the middle, completes it, and he may have a little running room and on the angle. Nice tackle that time. But touchdown saving tackle, Mike Nestor from that cornerback spot for St. John Paul.
And Nestor,
but it's enough to pick up a 1st down and move the sticks, Ryan.
Nestor, I wouldn't say leading, has 15 total tackles for the season, 12 solo, but that is just a fraction of the amount of tackles. You're going to see a lot of players that are going both ways on both teams. Majority, we talked to Snead last week and talked about a lot of the wide receivers. You're going to see them at the defensive back position.
Empty set for Miller. Decides to go with the quarterback keeper over that left side. He's going to get close to the sticks. And Panthers inching close to putting the first points on the board. 9:31 on the clock. Still no score. First quarter action here.
And from a defensive standpoint for St. John, some guys to watch out for tonight. Scarpula leads the way with total tackles. 32 solo, but 44 total tackles. And that follows with Paulameni with 37. Tackles, 25. So a lot of impact players tonight here on both sides of the ball, but those are the guys to watch out for on that defensive side for St. John Paul.
So 2nd down 2 situation inside the 10 for the Panthers, trying to strike first. Miller's got a lot of time, muffs the ball,
Dangerous.
and finally falls on it. So that's going to bring up a 3rd and short situation.
Dangerous situation. Miller's got to tuck that ball, walking around like a loaf of bread, and he drops it. And got some shout-outs here from literally no name. It says, at primetime JP52, watch the Charter game online in 10 minutes. And got a shout-out. Got Westerville has tuned into the broadcast tonight, and Eagle 6 Group says, at HSPN Sports, let's go Panthers. So thank you for joining us tonight in the broadcast. The Twitter feed is live.
So about a 3rd and 5 situation on a short loss, and they go to the other side of the field. Touchdown Panthers, and that is Weber pulling it in from about 8 yards out, and a Panthers strike first. And extra point ensuing.
Zach Weber wearing number 44 tonight, usually at the number 6 spot, but Weber, an easy pass by Miller. Looked like they rolled to the right side and just going to dump it to the backside. It's going to slip through the defensive backs, and that's going to add to Weber's stats for the year.
Loshinsky on the extra point, up, through, and good.
Receiving.
Walked into the end zone on that pass from Miller.
Yeah, Weber for receiving yards. He's got 23 receptions with 198, not including what he has tonight. So he is definitely not just an impact player overall, but he's a young man that we've talked about throughout the season here on HSPNSports.com. Has done a tremendous job featuring the Panthers with, I want to say 4 to 6 broadcasts, live broadcasts here from the Sportsplex. And once again, big shout out to the City of Coral Springs for featuring tonight's game on City TV. So a lot of big things happening, and just a quick, we have a quick stat update from the Southeastern Football Conference semifinal, Calvary versus Pinecrest. Calvary's up 14 points, Pinecrest 6. Just the start of the second quarter. So a big-time matchup across the way. Thursday night here, we're in playoffs.
Yes.
So
this
the winner
is up for all the marbles.
Exactly. So this is the semifinal game for all 4 teams: Charter, St. John Paul, Calvary, and Pinecrest. So they're across the way, and Calvary leads by a touchdown.
Kickoff goes through the back of the end zone, and now the Eagles will have an opportunity to try and knot this one up at 7. 8:39 on the clock, first quarter action. 7-0 to score here from the Sportsplex in Coral Springs, Florida. Charter, of course, in the powder blue. The visitors, the Eagles from St. John Paul, in the white, the silver helmets, shaking it up a bit with that. And they come out in the first play on the ground with Clark on the run. Minimal, maybe gain of 2.
Yeah, it looks like Clark on the run, number 19 for St. John Paul, and he's one to look out for on the offensive side, as well as a couple key players. Clark, total yards, he's got 546 rushing, 259 receiving on the season so far, so player to watch out for.
Had 100 yards rushing last week, but most of that came in junk time, more or less, after the game was decided. 107 yards rushing for him.
Right.
Eagles come out on that first play, or I should say second play, with a pass, and actually lost a couple of yards. So looking at a 3rd and about 12, we'll call it, as Risk pressured and goes down. A host of Panthers in there. He is coming off a game where he was sacked 10 times, folks, in that last contest just last week. And another one for the Panther defense.
Well, that's what we saw in the second half. Major adjustments were made for the Panthers coming in to the second half of ball game, and the adjustments were really made on the defensive line. Like we said, the sacks were in the double digits last week, and at quarterback, Ryan Risk is going to lead the pack with all the confidence that he has with 2,021 yards.
And this is a horrible punt, Ryan, and it's going to give the Panthers
field position.
Huge chomping at the bit field position inside of Eagle territory. Wow, it didn't even get across midfield. Maybe about a 20-yard punt. And their Panthers are going to have the ball 1st and 10 at the Eagle 32, we'll call it. Already up 7-0 in this one, and couldn't make much out of their first offensive series. Maybe a net of about 12, 15 yards on that whole series. And Panthers in business, already up 7-0 in this one, as they are on the march again. They got a 4 wide receiver set. They keep it on the ground in your screen. On the carry that time, number 7, Michael Aquaviva.
Man, he's one of the many running backs that we've seen for the Panthers into the season. Caitlin Carson kind of leads the way, and his yards definitely prove for it. Aquaviva, I don't want to claim them at first, second string and stuff like that, because these guys rotate. We even saw Carry On gets back there every once in a while, and when we've seen Cam Perez, number 9. Back there as well, so there's no doubt the confidence in the running game for the Panthers.
So Jackson in motion, and Miller looking to go to him a little bit too much on that, and he came down hard. Look a little shook up, got up under his own power, luckily, but passed very high from Miller and got his legs took off from underneath him, did Jackson.
Jackson taking a beating this season. We've seen it game in and out, and we've seen him a couple times have to leave the field because he's been shaken up quite a bit this season.
And that one was a tough one. Luckily, he got up. He looks to be okay. We got a timeout on the field. It's going to be the first timeout of the contest, and it'll give us an opportunity to give you the scoop and catch our breath a little bit. 5:59 on the clock. Panthers on the move.
Well, you had a chance to talk to Snead and Miller before the game. Last week was interesting. It was an interesting feeling coming out because both teams were pretty fired up. The last regular season game, Charter with a lot to lose.
Oh, absolutely. Not only the undefeated streak that they've managed to put together, but it could have ended up being a tie.
Right.
If Panthers had lost that game, as the Eagles came in, only one loss in district play. And Panthers, of course, able to pull it together. But, yeah, we'll definitely get off into talking about Coach Snead and Coach Miller and what they had to say prior to this one being over. When I actually had an opportunity to speak to both of them before the contest, as we're back to action coming out of the timeout, and Panther goes with the screen and get back most of what they lost, close to first down yardage, as that was a 3rd and about 12 situation. We'll see if they get a good spot.
And that's Desposito again, and just from a receiving standpoint, Desposito only with 77 yards receiving coming into this game, and no doubt making it happen on special teams.
Got enough to move the sticks, and Panthers in business on the march. Keep in mind, folks, this is the second series of the contest, and they got the ball at the Eagle 32 on a horrible punt by the Eagles. So they're on the march, already up 7-0 in this one, trying to capitalize on it as we come in on the 5-minute mark, and they go to a little razzle-dazzle in your screen. It's shaking defenders. He may get there. He does. Calvin Jackson, touchdown, Panthers.
Man, and making it look easy, just plays on an entirely different level. He's one of the many Panthers. I love talking about Kalen Carson myself. The way he runs is with an attitude. C.J. Jackson, there's no doubt whenever he's in the game, he wants the ball.
Absolutely. Electric.
Yeah.
He's electric.
You could just tell by his body language that this young man says, hey, give me the ball now. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, as you can see, that's what he does best. Get the ball in his hand. He's going to be on the defensive side as well as the offensive side, but no doubt doing some outstanding things, and we want to give a quick shout-out to those that have joined the broadcast. Once again, Eagle 6 Group is joining the conversation. Thank you for joining us tonight at HSPN Sports. Big shout-out to Barcelona, Paris. We've gone worldwide with our coverage, and it's because of Watch HSPN and those that make it go viral. Back in the studio, as well as our streaming partners tonight. As you can see this game on all of their platforms. They're here for the student athletes because they believe in the mission of HSPN and the Keeping Dreams Alive Foundation, providing a spotlight for these student athletes on a weekly basis. Charter being a partner school with HSPN Sports. We've featured a handful of their games, so very familiar with this Charter crew and familiar somewhat with St. John Paul as well. Got to see him last week. If you didn't join us, we're glad you joined us this week. We got back-to-back weeks with the same teams.
And another touchback called. And the Eagles will have an opportunity to try and put something together. Already down 14-0 here in this one. 5:08 first quarter action here from the Sportsplex. As I said prior to this one starting, we're talking about redemption versus history. Charter making it happen, coming out. First two series of the contest and already up 14-0, coming off a 38-14 win last week against this same St. John Paul II team. So here we go, second possession of the contest, and Eagles trying to get something going, maybe get about 5 on the screen pass over the far side, and that was pulled in, I believe, by Corona. Check that. That was actually Ippolito on the reception. So second down, 5 situation coming up for the Eagles. Down 14-0, risk in the shotgun. They go with the ground game to Clark, and they gain maybe 2 more, so it's going to break up a third down and about 2 situation for them. Trying to somehow, some way put something together. Keep in mind, Ryan, this team had over 450 yards or close to 450 yards of offense, even though they lost in a lopsided manner.
Absolutely.
So they are capable of scoring. We'll see. We got a 3rd and short, 3rd and 3, we'll call it, coming up, and they go to the near side, in and out of the hands. A big-time drop that time, a little too much mustard to Melanie's, his leading wide receiver, who had a good game last week as well. So that's going to pick up a 4th and short, and looks like they're going to give it back to the Panthers.
Well, we saw it last week. Really, what was surprising to us is that they picked on the opportunities in the defensive side. You know, from a coverage standpoint, a lot of, what we just saw Milanese, that was basically the passing game last week. They tore up the flats. I mean, that one-on-one matchup with a linebacker, they were going after that all day. Risk, really just in tune with his wide receivers last week, but the Panthers, let's just say they had to make some serious adjustments in halftime because it was a questionable game, especially at the level the Panthers have been playing at.
And this is going to be the worst field position the Panthers will have in this one on their 3rd possession. And they're going to spot it just short of the 35. We'll call it about the 33. They'll have their 3rd possession of the contest. Up 14-0, 3:57 first quarter of play. Panthers coming out, making it happen. First 2 series, and they have not looked back so far. That last score, 21 yards out from Calvin Jackson Jr., they've gotten him going, gotten him involved early on. So here we go. In the shotgun is Miller. 3 wide receiver set. They're going to keep it on the ground, up the gut, and a gain of about 2 or 3 maybe on the play. As we start to kind of wind things down here in the first quarter. Panthers looking good and going right with what Coach Miller wanted to do. He wanted a fast start in this one, and the Panthers have held true to that for sure. Up 14-0, as I said, on the visiting St. John Paul II Eagles. So second down and about 8, we'll call it, for Miller. And the Panthers, and we got flags on the play. Not a lot of flags so far.
Yeah, penalties not a big concern in the games that we've covered with Charter. Not a big concern for them. In other games, we've seen a tremendous amount of penalties. But, yeah, probably the worst field position the Panthers have seen the entire night. But I want to say, Chris, it almost looks a little lackadaisical out there for St. John Paul. Not the fire that we saw last week.
I think they're still reeling from that great start by the Panthers with the kickoff, and we'll see if the Charter can continue to try and convert. There was a delay of game that backed them up 5, so it is an incomplete. Check that, actually completion that time, but a short completion.
Looked like Kalen Carson on the reception, and Kalen, on top of his 588 rushing yards, this young man has close to 300 yards coming in to this game, not including what he's doing now. Kick returns at 190. This young man runs with an attitude. Total yards for the season, well over 1,000.
And he got that completion, about 3 yards gained back from the loss, and they're facing a 3rd and long, and they're going to try and go long, incomplete. Man. Great coverage that time by the Eagles in on the coverage. Mike Nestor almost had to pick that time as Miller floated that one up. Incomplete. So this Eagle defense reeling a little bit, but they're going to get it back, hopefully with good field position. We'll see if they can convert. Back deep is number 4. That is Melanese, the number 1 wide receiver weapon we spoke to for Risk and this Eagle offense.
And not too much action. I'm surprised. Had a couple of fans out there watching from the Eagles, St. John Paul. Not seeing too much action on the Twitter feed tonight from any alum or any fans out there from St. John Paul. So I hope we didn't scare them off last week.
A uphill battle was what they faced, to say the least. Right. And already in a 14-point hole on a knuckleball or end-over-end punt that time. It's going to die right around the 30. Decent field position, the best field position of the night for the Eagles. Already down, we've said 14-0, 1:45 on the clock, first quarter action here from the Sportsplex. We'll see if they can get something going and get on the board offensively. Wanted to try and minimize the mistakes, according to Coach Sneed, as they go with their pass on this series, incomplete. That one looked like that was intended for number 2 that time, Joseph Farley. 2nd and 10 situation.
Well, there's no doubt that Risk at the quarterback position is going to struggle tonight. I mean, just looking at this defensive front for the Panthers, Chris Judge, Rodriguez, Carrion, and Nick Papaleo, these guys are definitely putting the heat on him early on.
In the shotgun once again, and it'll hit full of steam down the far side. He may go the distance, one man a beat. Can he do it? Tripped up right around the goal line. Did he get in? Yes, he did. Touchdown, Eagles.
I told you, Chris, last week they picked on the flat defenders. There was no one out there. A quick and easy just a bubble.
A little swing pass.
A swing pass from the running back. And for that to happen, taking it the distance, we obviously see the speed by the Charter defensive backs, but you have to take advantage. So Eagles drew their first blood for the game, and we talked about it last week, Chris. After a post game, if you limit the interceptions out of Risk, and you tighten up the offensive line to stop the Panthers D from the sacks, it's a ball game. That's what I was saying. So,
and just like that, Eagles back in it. 70-yard swing pass from Risk to Clark. Takes it to the house, and the Eagles are back in it.
And Clark with, I guess that would count as receiving yards, but rushing yards, he's got close to 600 yards for the year. Let's see what he's got here. And once again, Max Preps providing our stats today. Receiving 259, not including what he just put up on the board. So they have some serious weapons for this St. John Paul team on both sides of the ball because a lot of these guys are playing both ways. So
yes, very young. We spoke to that too. Less than 10 seniors. Yeah. So.
Well, the quarterback's only a sophomore.
So a lot to look forward to with him.
To be able to see, I mean, he's over 2,000 yards, passing yards for the season. To be able to see a sophomore put up those numbers, I said it last week. He may not have the best mechanics as a sophomore, but hey, it's expected. This young man has the confidence to step up into the pocket, which is unlikely to see, to say the least, at this level.
Very fearless last week. Stepped up, put it up 35 times, completed 22 of those for 326 yards. But the 4 INTs is what we got to pay attention to. Of course, turnovers the key in any contest. No turnovers thus far. And Eagles back in it. And a short kickoff. So Panthers got something to cook with. And weaving through that defense and still on his feet across the 30. Inside of Eagle territory. Knocked out of bounds around the 25-yard line.
And Nick Desposito doing his thing once again. I don't know, Coach, why you're kicking it to him again. You saw what happened. Maybe he thought it was a fluke early on. But special teams weren't tightened up for the kickoff for St. John Paul.
Right inside of your screen probably. On the Panther sideline, I believe that's Rashard Wallace, number 1, the injured St. John Paul Eagle.
And at this time, we're going to get back to our Twitter feed. Got some shout-outs. Orange, California, Tampa, Florida, Atlanta, Georgia, Durham, Milton. You're not going to believe that. Well, you probably will believe this, Chris. Uganda.
Africa in the house, huh?
Taking it across the seas, keeping it national, but hey, we go worldwide as well. So big shout out for those that have tuned in tonight, and big shout out for all that are making this stuff go viral. And that young man's, they're going to get him up, and he looks like he's walking fairly well. So big time return out of Desposito twice tonight. Great field position for the Panthers. Better than last time. So, once again, A.J. Miller in this offense have an opportunity to put more points on the board.
Second straight possession, folks, where the Panthers are deep inside of Eagle territory. Eagles respond. They make it happen. They get back in this one, but reeling and on their heels. Once again, Panthers starting out inside of Eagle territory. 1st and 10. We'll see if Miller and the Panthers can take advantage. They go with the screen. Shaking a defender. Now across the 20 and finally goes out of bounds close to the 15. Jackson on the reception. And it's going to be close to first down yardage. It will. Will be enough to move the sticks. Panthers knocking on the door once again, up 14-7. Under a minute now. First quarter action, 51.8 to be exact. And Panthers fresh set of downs coming up.
And once again, a couple guys to look out for. Like you said, Wallace came off the field, but he is one of those guys that's leading the way with Corona and Scarpula. We're talking about 44 total tackles, 34 and 32. So these guys, this defense, there's no doubt these guys can put up the numbers.
Carson had full head of steam, but popped, and we got a late flag. We'll see if that will move the Panthers forward or back them up, as the ball is spotted around the 15-yard line currently. We'll see what we got. And a personal foul. And a block to the head.
Interesting.
So that's going to move it up further, as the ball was currently spotted at the 15. They're going to mark it half the distance, and Panthers will have an automatic first on top of that coming up. Wow.
You can't give it to him.
Oh, absolutely.
You cannot give it to him, okay?
And keep in mind, since we mentioned that, we're talking about an Eagle team that had 9 penalties for 85 yards last week. You simply cannot give a potent team like the Panthers extra yardage. That's what they just did.
Yeah. Well, Panthers definitely on the verge of putting more points on the board here.
So 1st and goal situation, and keep it short. Go up the gut once again, as we're coming under 30 seconds now. Clock stop with 22 seconds. First quarter of play. Ball spotted just short of the 5 now, as Panthers inching it closer already up 14-7, and they may not get this playoff before first quarter action is ended. We're under 10 seconds now, and I think they're going to let it go. And second quarter action will be coming up. That is it.
And that is the end of the first quarter.
First quarter under wraps. Once again, we thank you for joining us tonight from the Sportsplex in Coral Springs, Florida. Big shout out to the city of Coral Springs for featuring tonight's game of Coral Springs Charter hosting the Eagles of St. John Paul. Big shout out to everyone that's tuned in tonight. This is HSPNSports.com featuring another week of live broadcast.
Good stuff tonight. Panthers coming out on fire. With
Definitely
some
on fire.
Great special teams play, and that is one of the things that we definitely need to keep in mind and keep a watch on the rest of the night. That was huge.
Desposito,
Yes.
I mean, I would say well over 100 yards in returning yards in the first quarter. So, starting the game off, definitely taking it into Eagles territory early and just taking advantage of it the second time. I don't know, Coach. You maybe thought it was a fluke the first time, but Desposito making some outstanding things. Brought it, I would say, close to the 30-yard line.
Absolutely.
Eagles 30-yard line.
Second straight possession for the Panthers around the 30 to 35-yard line of the Eagles.
Right.
Not in their not their own,
Right,
but
not their own. Yeah.
inside of the Eagle territory, which is a killer. We'll see if the Panthers can take advantage and go back up 14 in this one. They're getting close, as we got a first down and goal to start the second quarter of play around the 7 for the Panthers. Miller looking over the Eagle defense. Shotgun formation, 3 wide receiver set, as we've unfortunately got the pole in our way, but we'll let you know the ball is fumbled.
Wow.
And that is the first turnover of the contest. That's huge. Eagles fall on it. They'll get it going the other way.
That's frustrating, no doubt, for the veteran quarterback here tonight, only with really his only start. I mean, this is really his only start at the quarterback position this year. Last year, having some trouble with a collarbone issue. But AJ, numbers, I mean, his numbers are positive, but only 4 interceptions on the season. It doesn't say about any turnovers, but it's not likely to see A.J. Miller cough up the ball. We've seen it twice tonight. One, he's given back to the Eagles.
And Eagles start out 1st and 10 inside their own 10. We'll see if the Panther defense can hold. So 80 yards they got to go to try and knot this one up at 7, but a huge turnover nonetheless. And it is the first one of the contest. We'll see if it will matter and if this Eagle offense can take advantage. Just underway in the second. 14-7 is the count. Eagles put it up in the air. Incomplete.
Right out of the reach of their wide receiver, and it's number 13 on the intended pass, which is Ipolto.
That's a tough one. Ippolito,
yeah,
I believe
Ippolito.
is how they told us to pronounce that
Butchered that last one. But wrist just right outside. Once again, they're going for that flats. I'm going to talk about it. Hey, that coverage, that one-on-one with that linebacker is a tough one for the Panthers.
So we've got a third down and about 10 for the Eagles, and they're going to keep it up the middle with Risk, and he's going to get close to the sticks.
Man.
He did get enough for the first based on where the ref has spotted it, and the Eagles will keep it going.
And just got special word, former student athlete and former coach for the Panthers will be joining us during halftime. Evan Landy just got back in from Europe, was playing in Germany professionally, and will be joining us for an interview during halftime, talk a little bit about what's going on with him and just how proud he is, no doubt, for these Panthers.
Clark on the short gainer, maybe gained 2 or so on the play. And we've got our second time out of the contest. Looks like an injured Panther down, and we'll get you word on who that is exactly. So 10-41 here in the second, 14-7 the count. Eagles trying to take advantage of the first turnover of the contest. here where it all counts, playoff action here from the Sportsplex in Coral Springs, Florida. Of course, Chris Jenkins, Ryan Stout on the mics with you here on HSPN Sports. Wherever you may be listening or watching, we thank you for doing so. We got a good one tonight.
Big shout out. Clemson has joined us, as well as Nashville. Tennessee has joined us. Yes, it is viral tonight. And right now you're getting a chance to check out the impact players for the Coral Springs Charter Panthers. Zach Weber, A.J. Miller, Kalen Carson, and Calvin Jackson Jr. Impact players featured tonight on HSPNSports.com, as well as more than a handful of players on both teams that are doing some outstanding things. I mean, just looking at these stats, when you get a chance, folks, Google some of these guys and see the numbers. Athletic ability definitely exceeds what expectations are out of this independent conference, Southeastern Football Conference.
No question. You got some great athletes, potential D1 athletes all over the field. That was actually Cameron Taylor, the injured Panthers. We're back to action and still on his feet and moving. Even closer to another first down are the Eagles. And
nice tap one right there by the Panthers. It's going to bring up a third down.
I believe that was number 5, Mike Nestor, making the play for the Eagles and bringing them close to another first down. 3rd and about 2 coming up, and they keep it up the middle, and Panther defense stiffens. He's not going to get it.
I'm telling you, that defensive line, that was the main concern last week early in the first half of play. The adjustments were made on the defensive line. Had a chance to talk to Coach Miller, and he said they struggle. Not them specifically, but St. John, they struggle at the offensive line position. So they saw the opportunity and took advantage of it. And like you said early on, 10 sacks last game. So when you see sacks in the double digits, that's something that concerns
big time
really any offensive coordinator, regardless of where you're coming from. So a lot of things happening, and just an interesting situation for everyone out here going back-to-back weeks. I mean, I can't imagine. I've never played a team back-to-back.
Yeah, it very rarely happens.
Right.
But if you think about it, it's also tough to beat a team that you just faced again.
Right.
It's tough to win.
So you would feel like St. John has the momentum.
Yeah, they can let it all hang out.
Right.
They don't have the pressure on them that the Panthers do. The Panthers, it's win or win.
Right. But then you can say on the other end, it's like, well, Ryan, I think you're wrong because, the Panthers won. They're undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
They beat them last week, so why would we even question their ability to come out here and fall short? So I think it plays both ends of the spectrum, but there's no doubt the advantage really for both teams. You had a whole week to make adjustments.
Absolutely.
And you basically know what's going to happen somewhat. So, I mean, we haven't seen any surprises. Last week we got a chance to see Calvin Jackson open up his arm and throw a pass, which inevitably turned into an interception, but not too much trickery out here, just sticking to the game plan. What we've seen out of the Panthers really the entire season's a lot of really working the short game. Offensively, the Eagles haven't been too successful outside of the swing pass to Clark in the second quarter, it was the first or second.
And weren't able to take advantage of that turnover that they just forced at the beginning of the second quarter. So that was for Neal.
Right.
Carson was back deep for the punt. Didn't get a chance to return. Panthers still decent field position, starting from their own 27. 1st and 10, 9:18 on the clock. And we got another timeout, this time by the Eagles. So they saw something that they wanted to talk about, and they take time to do so. Jackson usually back deep for those punts. He hasn't gotten an opportunity for a return. They definitely want to minimize his touches, they being St. John Paul. These two teams, as we spoke to before, folks, faced each other last week. 38-14 loss the Eagles took here from the Sportsplex. but turnovers were key. And talking with Coach Snead, wanted to clean those up. He summed it up pretty nicely, Ryan, in saying last week was a very teachable moment.
Interesting way of putting it, I would say.
Yeah.
Especially knowing that they're going to play each other the next week. I mean, they literally knew it, and the handshake, see you next week.
Yep.
That was the exchange between both coaches.
So out of the timeout, back to action, 1st and 10 for the Panthers. They keep it simple, going off guard, gain about 2.
And got some shout-outs here. Boston, Delray Beach, Rock Hill, and I don't know if I'm going to say this right, but Navarre.
Okay.
Has joined us. That might be, I don't know if that's nationally or worldwide, but
gotcha.
We're getting those that pop in, national, and then Uganda.
Right.
Got to throw you off. But once again, hit us up. We see that you've joined us on the broadcast, but hey, hit us up on Twitter. And, shout out to who you are. We don't know who you are specifically, but hey, at HSPN Sports, hit us up on Twitter. Let us know, and we'll give you a shout out.
4 wide receiver set for the Panthers. They keep it on the ground, though. They go off guard to the left this time. Carson on the carry. And Eagle defense stiffening on these Panthers. And a 3rd and long situation coming up. We'll see if the Panthers can convert and keep it moving. Already up 14-7 in this one, coming up on the 8-minute mark. Second quarter action here from the Sportsplex in Coral Springs, Florida. Miller looking over the defense, taking his time in the shotgun. One back set with him. They keep it on the ground once again to Carson, and he is plugged up but still on his feet. He may get to the sticks. He does, and then some.
Running with an attitude, no doubt. Kalen Carson, I don't think in his head he thought he wasn't going to get that.
Had every reason to be stopped, kept his feet moving, kept churning forward, and that'll move the sticks. Fresh set of downs coming up for the Panthers around midfield. 1st and 10. Nice run by that young man, Kalen Carson. The senior, 5'8", 160 is what they got him listed at. Runs like he's about 200, though.
Exactly. That's a great way of putting it.
So 3 wide receiver set. Shotgun once again. And they complete it to Jackson. Still weaving. Still down the sidelines. Going to break free. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Touchdown Panthers.
And speed kills.
Absolutely.
Speed kills. Big smile on my face because as soon as, number one, the ball was low. It was a low ball. It was definitely a catchable ball because, with obvious reasons, Jackson. But from our angle, it looks like they had him. But that speed, it looked like he was cutting. It looks like he was rounding the 200-meter run on the track and just took it the distance.
Jackson shaking and moving. I believe that was about a 45-yard slant. 50-yard slant route. 55 yards. We'll get it right eventually. So 55-yard slant route. He just took it to the house, as you said, Ryan. And that is his 2nd touchdown of the night.
Eagles looking like they're in a position that, the Panthers may be on the verge of running away with this thing. 21-7 here and getting close. We're not even halftime yet, so.
We'll see if the Eagles can answer, because I got that feeling a few minutes ago, and then they obviously took it 70 yards to get back into it. This one could be
Are we calling it this
on
early?
the verge of a blowout.
Are we calling
if
it
the
this
Eagles don't respond. We'll see how they respond when they get it back on this next series.
I'm going to be really interested to see, and I know I'm jumping ahead, but 7 minutes to halftime, I'm going to be interested to see what happens. Not just before that time, but those adjustments, because we still got a whole half of football to play.
Yes.
So there's plenty of time. Anything could happen. A couple game-changer plays out of Risk and one of his wide receivers or running backs, and, we're back in business.
And this one is returnable. Full head of steam. And a good return by the Eagles. Soltis making the stop.
First down, Eagles.
And that was a nice return that time. And that was number 1. That was Rashard Wallace, shaken up a bit earlier. But great return for the Eagles. That's going to give them some breathing room. They're going to start their own 30. We'll call it 1st and 10. Trying to answer. Down 21-7 in this one. Under 7 minutes to play here in the second. Risk in the shotgun with 3 wide receivers set. Pressured a little bit. Tries to throw this one over the middle. Intended for number 2, Farley. Incomplete.
Risk's definitely struggling with his accuracy tonight. We've seen that a couple times. Just out of reach. He's not really giving his wide receivers a catchable ball. But
that Panther defense,
I was just going to say,
coming down on him
doesn't
help.
You can't put all the blame on him because not only the defensive backs, but the defensive backs are right on par with these wide receivers. So
he completes this one, short pass to Melanese, and that's going to bring up a 3rd down and about 5.
And we'll get a quick stat update from the other side of the Southeastern Football Conference. Calvary Christian up 21, Pinecrest 12 at halftime.
So it looks like Calvary chomping at the bit to get at this Panther squad again. Of course, kept these Panthers from winning the championship last year. We'll see if they will match up again. And that one's going to be close as the pass is complete that time to Ippolito. And it will be at the sticks. It actually is enough, and that'll keep the drive alive for the Eagles, trying to cut into this 14-point lead by Coral Springs Charter. And we got an official timeout, water break. That'll stop the clock with 5:57 remaining second quarter action. 21-7 is your score here on HSPN Sports. Chris Jenkins, Ryan Stout, of course, bringing you the action as usual. Playoff style, win or go home. So it is for all the marbles tonight. Winner of this contest, as we spoke to a few minutes ago, will take on the winner of Calvary Christian Academy, Pinecrest.
Ladies and gentlemen, scoring update.
So looking good as we come out of the timeout. Eagles just picked up a big first down to keep their series alive. Trying to stay in this one. And they will have the ball 1st and 10. Ball at their own 42. Risk, pump fakes, going over the far side, completes this one, has a little running room, tiptoeing, still on his feet, and finally brought down inside of the Panther 20.
It only takes one play, and we talked about it. Risk, definitely no fear. Like you said, fearless when it comes to giving his wide receivers a chance down the field. And we saw it a couple times last week. He's got the weapons on the outside to make the big plays, and we're seeing it right here.
And I believe that was Ippolito bringing that one in for the Eagles. So Eagles on the move, trying to chip into that lead. First set of downs coming up at the Panther 20 and popped immediately. It was Clark Baltimore stepping up, laying the wood. And I think that's going to be actually a loss of 1. So 2nd and about 11 coming up. Can this Panther defense stiffen? Eagles making some big plays, keeping the series alive, trying to cut into that lead. Now down 21-7 as Risk flushed far side, sets up, tries to get this one off, does float it up back to the line of scrimmage. No receivers in the area, so flags on the play. This is probably going to be intentional grounding. We'll see.
And just to get to the last play, you spoke on John Baltimore at the linebacker position. This young man leads this Panthers defense with 53 total tackles, 26 solo.
That is a 5-yard
So we got an illegal. Check that.
Was it
intentional grounding is what I meant to say. So intentional grounding, they're going to penalize them and back them up. Not to mention a loss of down, so that is huge. Backs them up all the way to the 35.
And a quick shout out, Chapel Hill and Breckenridge has joined the broadcast tonight. We thank you for joining us tonight.
So we've got a third down situation, Ryan, for this Eagle team. And they're going to try and go long over the far side, incomplete.
Wow.
But flags on the play. This might be interference. We'll see. This is going to be a huge call. Jackson covering. This is going to be big. Will it keep the Eagle drive alive, or will they have to give it up? So pass interference against the Panthers. Wow.
And it's third and forever. So
yes,
a huge opportunity for the Eagles right here. Risk taking it down the field, and it is a penalty. I don't think it's going to give them the first down.
18-yard penalty, and we're going to replay third down.
Okay, that's huge.
Wow.
That's huge right there. Not only do they get the yards, which really has brought them back to the original line of scrimmage.
Yes.
Third and 10 now. But the biggest part of that call is that they get to replay third down.
Absolutely.
So another chance for the Eagles. And it looks like the Eagles are going to take some time to think about it.
So they're going to face, coming out of the timeout, a 3rd and 10 from the original line of scrimmage. Ball spotted at the 20 of the Panthers. But that is huge because it still gives them at least 2 downs to try and make something happen, as opposed to facing a 3rd and about 25 a few minutes ago.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. Special teams for the Eagles having confidence. And really at this point in the game, I mean, we still have a lot of time. But do you go for a field goal opportunity to get points and lessen the distance of scoring? Yep. Or do you take a risk and try and score a touchdown? Honestly, as a coach, I'm calling for a field goal to close the gap because I haven't seen – it hasn't given me enough confidence yet to say, okay, you guys are going to score right here.
Absolutely.
You know, so I would that's my call, my 2 cents on it, but what do I know?
Go for the safe bet, try and put some points on the board as opposed to possibly getting nothing going forward on 4th. So we'll see. A big 3rd down and 10 situation coming out of the timeout. 4:44 on the clock, 21-7. Eagles down, and we got a stoppage of play, and we might have a false start. This one's going to be huge, and it's going to back the Eagles up 5 yards on a false start.
And I'm going to say it's because of the stadium. The crowd's getting a little rowdy.
Getting a little rowdy, but may have possibly shook them up a little bit. That's going to back them up 5, so a 3rd and 10 turns into a 3rd and 15.
Right.
Can the Eagles convert and keep this series alive? Risk. Being pressured now, shaken. He's going to set up and floats this one up. Back of the end zone, caught! Touchdown, Eagles!
My goodness.
Lord have mercy.
My goodness. And the faces on some of the people in the box right now, no doubt. Shoot, you can throw out what I said about the field goal. This young man is going to reverse field. And the pressure was no doubt there from the Panthers, but going to just lay it out for the wide receiver in the back of the end zone. And forget a field goal. We're going to score right here.
And that is huge. Eagles right back in this one. Extra point coming up. 4:33 on the clock. And we have potentially a 1 touchdown game. Eagles not going away. They've had opportunities to fold, and they have hung in there. Extra point, no good, though. Wow. Partially blocked.
That's big. That is big right there. However you see it, but to get a special teams, or excuse me, an extra point blocked.
Wow.
That could be scary in the long run.
Absolutely. So we've got an 8-point contest, folks, and this is going to be potentially a 2-point conversion having to be made as we go along here. We'll see. 4:33 on the clock. Nonetheless, 21-13 is your score.
Extra point was good. We're just getting word It was good off the block.
So it made it inside that left upright, barely.
Yeah.
If that's the case. So, wow, okay, so correction. 7-point game, not 8, as the extra point did sneak in there, but it was blocked. A Panther did get a hand on that, as it looked nasty going through.
Yeah, it did. And we're going to look at an interesting situation right now with 4:33 on the clock, and the Panthers get the ball back. So Desposito, I'm guaranteeing he's back there right now. Yep, it looks like Desposito is the Lone Ranger for the kickoff return team, and he's done it twice already, taking it into the Panthers or the Eagles territory, and he's going to let that one go into the end zone. So it's going to be a touchback. Smart move.
That's actually going to be the first touchback of the contest.
Yeah.
The Panthers have had an opportunity to return every kickoff so far.
Well, it's tough. That's a smart move by that kicker, is to keep it low and making sure that he didn't kick it out of bounds.
Yes.
That's the most important thing. But he kept it low. Desposito was the only person back there to receive the kick. So it's tough being at that position to run cross field, try and catch the ball and make somewhat of a return. So smart move by the Eagles, being able to kick it into the end zone and get that touchback.
And that was the junior Farley kicking that one off. Nice directional kickoff for him. Panthers start from their own 20, so they got to go 80 yards to try and answer. They go with the screen pass to Carson. Breaks a tackle. Wrapped up, but still manages to plow forward about another 1 or 2 yards. That'll bring up about a second and about 7. We'll call it actually a gain of about 5, so 2nd and 5 is what we'll call it as we approach the 4-minute mark here in this one. Ball's going to be spotted around the 25 of the Panthers. They've led the entire way in this one, but the Eagles have hung in there, and they only down 7. 21-14 is your score here for All the Marbles playoff action, semifinal action, as you've got Jackson coming around the left side in your screen.
And it's interesting because we've covered the Panthers so many times this season. We've seen so much success. There was a couple games where, it was questionable to say, Jackson, he's a great athlete. Carson's a great athlete. But, in our head, it's like, well, we might want to save him because, the Panthers are going to go farther in the season. We're in playoffs right now.
Absolutely.
And they only get one playoff, and it's the semifinal. So it's all or nothing right here for both teams.
Panthers trying to set up a screen pass. We're going to see if there are flags. There will not be, as Carson was in the area, tripped and fell as he was the intended receiver, and Miller just kind of threw it away, trying to set up a screen for the running back out of the backfield on that play. And had to throw it away, so we face a 2nd and 10 situation. 3:18 on the clock. Panthers with the ball at their own 30. 4 wide receivers set for Miller. In the shotgun as usual. With Weber in motion. They keep it on the ground once again, and a nice block for Jackson, and Carson takes it up close to around the 40. And just a yard short of moving the sticks once again, so we got a 3rd and 1. Panthers trying to answer as we wind down here second quarter. They are currently up 21-14, under 3 minutes now here until the break. Got a good one, playoff action. Win or go home style here for you from the Sportsplex. Jackson in motion, and they try and go with the little reverse action to him. Eagles have an angle on him, but he still manages to pick up enough to move the sticks. A gain of about 5. That'll keep it going. Fresh set of downs coming up for the Panthers.
And Jackson, every time he gets the ball, momentum is just flying. I mean, it's like the road
Hold
runner.
your breath,
Yeah,
almost.
Exactly. So But yeah, like you said, it's all or nothing here this is playoffs. It's not that long, marathon that we have for the regular season like the other classifications. We're looking at close to like 4 weeks of playoffs.
Yeah.
Coming around. So these guys end it quick, which is nice. We got playoffs and we're still in regular season in the other games. So
ball at the 43 of the Panthers. Pass incomplete. So second down 10 situation for the Panthers trying to answer. 2:05 left here in the second. So 3 wide receiver bunch set in your screen right now. As Miller once again in the shotgun with a 1-back set. And he gives the handoff to Carson over the far side. And good Eagle defense minimizes the gain. So we've got a third down. And we're going to call it about 8. It looks like about a 3rd and 8 where the ref is standing. 3rd and 8 situation. 1:43 on the clock. As we wind down here in the second. We got a tight one. Miller's got time, being pressured now. Finally floats this one up incomplete.
Just trying to give his wide receiver a chance. Didn't really have too much open. Flat was open early on, but Miller wasn't ready to throw it. So, but also wants to mention, once again, halftime, got a special guest, former student athlete for the Panthers and former coach, and has taken his talents all over the collegiate level, the professional level, and now is overseas. Evan Landy's going to join us during a halftime interview. So stay with us for the special feature as we approach this halftime here on HSPN Sports.
So we got 1:30 remaining here in the second until the break. We'll see if the Eagles can knock this one up, as we got a low one, and it takes a nice Panther hop. And it's going to die right around the 10. So the Eagles got to go 80 yards to tie this one up with only 1:19 on the clock. I believe they have 1 timeout remaining.
That is a great punt by Matthias. I mean, their special teams for the Panthers
been stellar. It's been stellar tonight.
Yeah, the whole season as well. So, Matthias Gask, he's got over 1,000 yards with 30 punts. His average is 40 yards. And Blashinsky's got over 3,000 yards in kickoffs, 53 kickoffs. He averages 57 yards per kickoff. So special teams, like you said, stellar is definitely the word.
And that Panther defense stiffens as the Eagles start at their own 10. And he got back to the line of scrimmage, maybe. So we'll see if the Eagles can try and convert, not getting off to a good start. And time is of the essence, as we are under a minute now until half. Can the Eagles convert? Pressured now is Risk. He's going to be wrapped up, and he's going to lose 2 or 3. Big-time Panther defense stepping up. And that's going to bring up a third down and about 15. And the clock stopped with 37.4 remaining here in the second. Charter takes a timeout to talk about it. And if they play their cards right and can hold, they may have an opportunity to get a long field goal or punch one in with good field position coming up. We'll see.
Well, they have confidence in Blashinsky. He definitely has the leg to produce, not only on kickoffs, but at the field goal position as well. So, like you said before, the special teams, I don't think we've really seen special teams elsewhere like the Panthers produce on a weekly basis. So I would definitely take the points right here. Coach Miller's, at third down. Or excuse me, it's third down. Oh, the Eagles had the ball.
Yeah.
I'm talking like the...
Well, the Panthers may get it back with an opportunity.
Okay, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. That's what I get for looking down for too long.
No.
I'm completely
You got
off.
about 100 duties going on. So I got you. So we got a 3rd and 15 coming out of the break for the Eagles. But they are deep in their own territory. They're going to have to play it conservative. They do, and they won't get anything going on the ground game. Clark. Carry-on stepping up. One of
the four
Panthers
horsemen
stepping up.
The 4 horsemen on the line between Papaleo, Carry-on, Rodriguez, and Judge. That's a dangerous set of guys on the defensive line that really put it to them last week.
Absolutely.
I mean,
10 sacks.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Scoring update.
They're trying to give us a score update, like people don't watch the NFL. They're going to watch us watch the NFL.
But speaking to the point you were making about this Eagle front or this Panther front,
right.
4 sacks per game is what they're averaging. You know, obviously busted out last week
right.
with 10. That's crazy.
That is. No, yeah. Risk definitely feeling the pressure. And like I said it before, they had to make those adjustments at halftime because it was a ball game the first half last game. So
wheels got a little wobbly and came falling off second half as 21 unanswered basically in that second half with the minus the last 80-yard touchdown run by Clark after the game was decided. So Eagles will have to punt this one a low wobbler, and this is going to get the Panthers in great field position once again with an opportunity to make something happen. We'll see what they do, but only 19 ticks on the clock as they got to act and move quick if they want to try and do something.
We're going to say at the 33-yard line, first down, Panthers!
So Panthers knocking on the door once again. Ball inside of the Eagle 35. Panthers will start off 1st and 10. We'll see if they can take advantage. And you don't have to give Bloshinsky a lot of room. He's got a lively, strong leg.
He does. And better yet, he has the confidence to do it as well. Yeah, if you get a chance to have a conversation with this young man, he's definitely the high-spirited type.
Okay, so 19 seconds on the clock, 1st and 10 from the Eagle. 39. Pressured now is Miller, and he'll have to get rid of it.
Well, he wasn't out of the tackle box, so they're probably going to call it intentional grounding. But
yeah, there are flags on the play, so that will be huge. And that might kill their opportunity to make something happen as the clock stopped with 13.8. We'll see what the call is. Did he get the ball back to the line of scrimmage? So they are going to wave the flag. So it will not be intentional grounding. I guess he got it back to the line of scrimmage, and there was a receiver in the area. So 13.8 on the clock, 2nd and 10 situation, ball spotted at the Eagle. 39, Panthers in business. Only need to pick up 10 or 15 yards to have a shot at a long field goal. We'll see what they do. 4 wide receiver set for Miller. And they float this one up near side, incomplete. And I believe that pass was intended for Calvin Jackson Jr.
9.2 seconds here remaining until halftime.
Clock stop with 9.2 remaining. Not really sure if the Panthers are going to be able to get anything going. They're going to have to obviously go to the sideline. And
are you going to kick a field goal anyway? Coach, are you going to kick a field goal anyway?
Why not try? Why not try?
I think
this might be the last play of the half.
See, just knowing Bleszinski's personality, I want to say he's on the sideline right now, warming up and saying, "Coach, come on, give me a chance, just one shot. Come on, Coach."
So we'll see. Under 10 seconds remaining, they go with the screen pass to Jackson. Ball pops free, and I think
that's a big hit.
If they're going to call it incomplete.
That was a big hit by the Eagles defense.
Absolutely. I don't think they're going to say he possessed that, so that's probably going to be incomplete, but nonetheless, doesn't matter, last play of the half. And we got a 21-14 count going into the half. Big-time action here in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Independent league action. These two teams facing off second week in a row, and we got a good one.
Yeah, the Southeastern Football Conference presents the semifinals. And once again, we talked about it's a short season for these independent conference guys. Playoffs, we're talking about one playoff game. So they have everything to lose here. Either team just going all out and trying to make a statement, trying to make it back. So we got Calvary Christian and Pinecrest on the opposite side of the town, and I think the last score was 21-12. I got to look back at the Twitter feed, but potentially right now, if all games stopped, Calvary versus Charter again.
Absolutely. Two teams that face each other in championship. We've spoke to numerous times as we've covered this Charter team several times throughout the season. Charter trying to exact a little revenge, and they are one half away. From a rematch. Right. 21-14 and count here on HSPN Sports. Got good stuff for you.
And we have a special guest that has joined us tonight. He is in the booth with us, and we talked about it during the first half. Former Coral Springs Charter alumni, USF alumni, and now takes his talents across the seas. Mr. Evan Landy joining us on the broadcast tonight.
How's it going, man?
It's going good, man. Going to get things live here. We talked about it. We kind of hyped you up. Said you were here, and we wanted to get a chance to not only talk about as a former student athlete, but as a former coach. We've come a long way, right?
Yeah, it's great to see the progress they've made here. Since you and I played middle school ball there and everything, just seeing what Coach Miller and the rest of the staff has done for this program and the kids buying in, it's really good to see. And I miss coaching them this year, but it was a pleasure last year to coach this team.
Yeah. So you've had to see, basically you've seen it from all angles. You played out here. You've actually played on this field. Some great games that obviously we didn't cover then because we didn't really have the technology to cover it then. But you've seen it from all aspects. The biggest thing that you've seen coming off the field, you're no longer coaching with them, but just coming back for this game and sort of things that you followed throughout the season, what is the biggest thing that really stands out for the Panthers?
It's a good question. I would have to say is just the all around, just the buying in to what their ultimate goal is. I know Coach Miller, they set goals in preseason and off season and everything, and all the kids buy in and they really work hard to get to that, whether it's on the field, off the field, in the classroom as well, handling their business there. But I would just say that, it's just the overall, just the team camaraderie they have.
Yeah. And that's definitely something unique to just this whole Charter atmosphere. We've had a chance to really follow them the entire season, and I've had occasions where I'm going in on Saturdays post-game and, sitting in on film studies and seeing after the film, required film studies. We got guys like Weber, Miller, Jackson, Kalen. They're sitting in afterwards and they're cutting up film for next week. So you had firsthand, you had to experience some of these guys. You had a chance to work with AJ last year. Unfortunately, coming off, he had that injury early on in the season. Vizuola stepped up, and it took him to the championship last year. So, ultimately a lot of positive things, but let's talk about some of the things going on. I know you just got back in town.
Yes, I did, yes.
So coming across the seas, like we said, USF alum, Charter alum, you took your talents professionally here in America, and now you've gone across the seas. We got some pretty sweet pictures of you with some trophies. I won't talk for you, but the German team, you're playing for the New Yorkers?
New Yorker Lions
Nice.
in Braunschweig, Germany. Little small town in the GFL. Yeah.
Now, 2 years, I want to say. 2 seasons with them?
Actually, just did one.
Just one.
But you play 2 seasons at the same time, essentially. You play in the Euro Bowl, which we won in the middle of June, and then you play the rest of your GFL, German Football League season during the same time, in which we won that a few weeks ago. So it was awesome experience there, on and off the field. Obviously, our goal was to win both, and we did it. And I know for the New Yorker Lions, it was the first time in 15 years they've won both in the same year. So it was a heck of an accomplishment. Just a great group of guys and coaches.
Right.
And our city was great. They really liked. So obviously, American football is not very popular there.
Right.
But our city, a few thousand fans every game, they really, really supported us. It was a great experience.
I can only imagine, and just for I would say our Americans, we watch football is huge. obviously over here at Super Bowl, NFL, college football on a weekly basis. What's the experience for, I've seen guys come back, Donald Reed talked, he came a couple weeks ago on the broadcast, and it's like, I'm looking at some guys that we played with, not to say football's over with, but playing. So coming from your perspective, you went professionally, and now you're doing it as a profession. What's the experience like going across the seas in a European league?
At first, I didn't know what to expect. We actually had a teammate on my New Yorker Lions team who played at Rutgers and is from Miami. And he was kind of the one who, at the tryout, talked to me and kind of got me to go out there. I knew if he could enjoy it, I could enjoy it. And honestly, it's just like we all have been growing up to. It's just we love the game of football.
Right.
So just a chance to be able to play that and then travel through Europe and meet new people like that. The experience over there was, it was awesome. Again, it's just, love playing ball.
Yeah.
It's competitive. They take it, really seriously there. They're just trying to make it bigger and bigger and, have some, create some excitement around it.
I was going to say, what's the mentality for the typical athlete that you play with, especially in that league? A lot of guys, I would assume, coming from America, playing over there in the leagues. What's the mentality of the average player, you would say?
I would say, especially for they say they use like the word import guys that are non-Germans, essentially.
Right.
And we take it really seriously. I know our team, like I said, this is a third straight German Bowl they've won. So, if you come to our team and you're not ready to work, like you probably won't see the field.
Right.
You have to really, really work hard. And then I know for even our German teammates, they take it really seriously. But a lot of guys, they're in university or they even have families and stuff like that. So they juggle both.
Right.
And they still come to practice, are dedicated, and give it all they got. So you kind of, as an import, you kind of feed off that a little bit too, and they feed off you as well. It works both ways.
So is there a lot of talk, as I would say, as an import, as you're saying, is there an end goal for the imports that are playing on the team?
For us, to be honest, is just enjoy the football, but also just the whole experience.
Yeah.
I know for me, a lot of my friends, non-athletes, for lack of a better term, they would love to go to Europe just to travel.
Yeah.
And, for us import guys, we got to spend 7 months there.
Right.
And that was great. So, yeah, just the experience off the field as well. I have family, and my mom's whole family's in Holland.
Right.
And I got to visit them more times than I've seen them in my whole previous life combined.
Right.
So that was just great to be able to do that.
Right, and you had some pictures. You had the chance to play. I want to say
I did. It was a Dutch national team. Yeah,
Nice.
Dutch American football national team. Yeah. Again, they just the resources may not be there.
Right.
The popularity's not there. But you go to their training camps and see them practice, and these kids do love football.
Yeah.
They might not have the resources there, but they took it really seriously, and we were able to win the qualifying game that qualifies them for a European tournament next year.
Yeah. Well, outstanding. Let's talk about the game. This is the second week. It's rare you see two teams playing back-to-back weeks. We know it's a short week being in the independent conference. The fans know Southeastern Football Conference, a handful of teams that really are competitive. We have student-athletes out here that will play at the collegiate level, some of them at the D1 level. So definitely have leveled the playing field, no doubt, not to take anything away from the student-athletes. But back-to-back weeks, St. John Paul coming in, and what we saw, just to give you a quick update on last week, the first half of the game, it looked, the Panther definitely, it got a little bit quieter with the Panthers, because there's been high expectations. Right. Bottom line, you talk to some of the fans out here, and they've done some outstanding things. They've broken records. Undefeated 2 years in a row at home, and now undefeated for the first time in school history. So it definitely toned things down. Now coming into this game, what have you seen so far? Just from, maybe an offensive, defensive standpoint, that the Panthers, St. John Paul overall?
Like you alluded to, is just it's hard to beat a team twice in one season, let alone consecutive weeks. So obviously you got to give, the opposing team credit too, but I think it just comes down to execution.
Yeah.
Again, I haven't been able to watch many games being away or whatnot, but I just knowing Coach Miller, and the Panthers it's all about execution. If they play their game, they have so much talent, as you mentioned. So just don't try to do too much. Just play your game. If they start executing, hopefully finish this game here well and get a W.
Yeah, well, no doubt. We look at some of the stats, and you look at Miller, AJ, it's really his first season starting at quarterback. And as a veteran, I would consider him now I mean, he's broke 2,000 yards passing. I mean, a lot of great quarterbacks, I feel like, have come out of charter. I was looking at an article today talking about Broward County, guys in the NFL. You go through the list. You got 2 active right now, Marcus Roberson and Darius Butler. Marcus didn't play quarterback. Darius played quarterback. You played quarterback. Took your talents to the next level. And Hawker, Dennis Hawker.
Has some records as well.
Right, he has records in Broward County. And then you have A.J. Miller, one season just kind of knocking things out of the park. So overall, Charter's doing some outstanding things with their quarterbacks.
Yeah, no, it's great. And it just, for AJ, it just shows his hard work in the offseason.
Yeah.
He's one of the hardest working kids I've ever been around. And just like those names you mentioned with, the Dariuses, Dennis Hawker, I mean, we didn't really sniff those numbers,
Right.
So to see him doing that, and as a team, I think it's really good for the Coral Springs community and charter football. We've come such a long way, since our days.
Right.
And it's just good to see the successes they've had.
Yeah. Well, no doubt, we appreciate you coming up, being a feature. We love featuring alumni. Like I said, had Donald Reed a couple weeks ago. It's like, whoa, man, haven't seen him in a long time. But for those that are just tuning in now, this is halftime here on HSPN Sports. Evan Landy has joined us, former alumni for Coral Springs Charter, USF, and now plays professionally overseas for the New Yorkers with Germany. So any last words, future plans? Is there anything in the books, or how long are you in town for?
I got to sit down and talk to my parents about a few things and see if I'm going to go back to Germany or not. I would like to. Like I said, it was just such a good experience. But right now, I just kind of relaxing, seeing friends and family. And then the next few weeks, I'll start buckling down and making some decisions here.
There you go. Well, always good to see you. Always good to have you back. And
Appreciate it,
once
Ryan.
again, Evan Landy here on the mic with us. Once again, the Twitter feed is active, so if you have any questions for us, and it's too late to ask Evan any questions, but ultimately we got a 21-point lead here, 4:44 on the clock, 21-14. The Panthers are up, and once again we thank Evan Landy for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me, Ryan.
Thanks. Ryan Stout here, bringing you the action live on HSPNSports.com here at the Sportsplex in Coral Springs. We thank you for joining us tonight. And a special feature, because the city of Coral Springs is featuring the game tonight on TV, City TV. So big shout out to the city of Coral Springs for having HSPN Sports feature tonight. And we're getting close to wrapping that halftime up with the Panthers. And once again, just one touchdown away from the make or break game. The playoffs here for the Southeastern Football Conference. Charter definitely leading the charge in terms of positioning for the Southeastern Football Conference. Possibly might see a rematch for Charter and Calvary Christian. So it's interesting. Got a very active Twitter feed right now, Chris, that it's not Coral Springs Charter and St. John Paul. It's actually consists of tomorrow night's game, Deerfield Beach, that we're featuring live on HSPN Sports.
Getting geared up, amped up for that one already.
Yeah, Deerfield and Piper. So got a couple guys that are on the Twitter feed right now, and they're really going back and unfortunately, I just saw the question for Evan, and I apologize. Maybe I can run back out there and grab him. But yeah, Chris, we're getting close to coming back in to this second half of play, and I don't know. It's not what I expected. I'm going to be completely honest.
I spoke to a couple of folks, a couple of charter folks prior to this one starting, and basically said I thought it was either going to be a blowout or a close one. And that's basically what we've got. 21-14 is the score at the half. For all you folks that may be watching or listening, or both, we thank you for doing so. It's a good one. And this Eagle team has showed up, and that's exactly what I figured they would do. They cleaned up the mistakes from last week's matchup. Numerous turnovers. It's difficult to overcome one turnover, let alone 4 or 5.
Right, that's tough.
And they just shot themselves in the foot. The wheels got a little wobbly in the second half. And beyond that 80-yard touchdown run with less than a minute left in the game, they were pretty much spanked in the second half.
Yeah, no doubt.
By Charter.
And just want to answer that question. I did get it from Evan from the fan in Houston. When the question was, when do the New Yorkers start the season again? And he told me they report in March, and the first game is mid-April.
I see.
So that was to answer the question for the fan in Houston. And, yeah, back to what you were saying, Chris. It should be an interesting. So the Panthers received first half, and now the Eagles are back to get the ball, and Risk is going to be at the quarterback position. We'll see if they made any key changes in the second half of play. We know the Panthers made some big decisions last week that really changed the outcome of the game. So we'll see if the Eagles have got something to show for. Like you said, it's still a pretty close one. Plenty of time. 21-14, just a touchdown. One play can make the difference, and we saw that one play, the last touchdown out of the Eagles in the back of the end zone, kind of put a shock on a lot of our faces here.
Absolutely. That put them right back in the thick of it and showed that they are in this one, at least from a first half standpoint, they're in this one. As it looked a little shaky initially. The Panthers go up 2 scores. It looked a couple of times as if they might blow this one wide open. That's still yet to be seen in the second half. They have led this one the whole way as we are underway in action, I should say, in the second half.
Wow. My
and
goodness.
That is an unbelievably bad mistake as Wallace was back deep for the Eagles. There's a flag on the play.
Well,
did he catch that one and go out of bounds?
I want to say I want to say that he caught it out of courtesy, knowing that it was going out of bounds. And from this angle, it's not the best angle for us, but it looked like he caught it, stepped out of bounds. But I'm thinking that it looked like it was going out of bounds. So
so
he
and
may
I
have caught
believe
it out of bounds.
That's the way the referees saw it, and the Eagles get a little gift to start off this second half. They're going to start from the 35, so a 15-yard gift on the kickoff, and that is where Risk and the Eagles will start out 1st and 10, 4 wide receivers set, shotgun, Risk. Has some time now, pressure flushed out of the pocket, rolling. He'll tuck it, try and get what he can, and picks up about 8 or 9. So nice way to start off the second half for the Eagles.
Risk definitely taking a chance with his feet, almost getting caught from the back end. But a great gain, and he's definitely not one to shy away from using his legs. Got some stats from him. Rushing, I mean, he's close to 300 yards, 286 to be exact, but he's not one to not take a chance with his legs.
And a huge stop by that Panther defense. They bottle him up, not trying to hear it. Soltis, one of the Panthers, along with Multimer, finishing him off. And that's going to be a loss on the play. So brings up about a 3rd down, and we'll call it about 7. Ball spotted at the 41. Risk puts it up, and a pickoff.
Oh, my goodness. Almost
out of bounds. A one-handed catch. Okay, so they call it an incomplete.
Right.
That would have been a nice, huge catch that time by Melanie's. Goes off his fingertips as he initially had it. Looked like it went into a Panthers' hands.
Right.
Called incomplete nonetheless as it goes out of bounds. And that's going to force a punt and a 4th down and 7 for the Eagles.
Yeah, Jackson almost coming up with just a gimme here on the sideline. And Jackson back to actually receive this punt. We're going to see if the punter actually gets it to him. And it's going to look like it's going to get a pretty good bounce for the Eagles. But, yeah, Jackson almost coming up. Last week, player of the game. had 2 interceptions, 1 return for a touchdown. So definitely looking to not only repeat, but to do better.
I was just thoroughly impressed with that young man last week. 2 INTs, like you said, 1 for a touchdown, and 2 offensive touchdowns.
Yeah.
Just
there was no chance we could have picked anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, we tried to keep a couple other Panthers in mind, but he just balled out last week, and that's just what it is.
So once again, you can tell us. We want to hear from you as well. We will be announcing player of the game at the end of the broadcast, getting close into the 4th quarter. So just let us know once we get to that time.
And worst field position of the contest, I believe, Ryan. And a pickoff on the floating pass from Miller. Panthers start off 1st and 10 from their own 15, and Miller throws this one up, tried to lob it in there, and throws the pick. Eagles.
And that's going to be number 6, Frankie Scarpula, on the interception, and just a little too much touch, I would say, for Miller, and going to give up the rock in dangerous territory.
Absolutely. Eagles.
I know what you're thinking, because we're only 1 touchdown away.
Yes.
From a game, and definitely positive yards, I would say, off of that punt. And moving into this, we're still on offense for the Eagles.
So risk, and the Eagles get it back, and they go to the corner and end zone, the far side, touchdown, Eagles.
My goodness.
And just that quick, folks, the Eagles right back in it, 1 extra point away from knotting this one up at 21 on the 2nd turnover of the contest, both by the Panthers.
Wow. And like we said, that might as well have been, that punt might as well have been an extension of that drive, because not only pinning back the Panthers in their own territory, but unfortunately an A.J. Miller interception, only has 4 on the season. That's going to add to it. 5 interceptions on the season, and it's not looking good here for the Panthers in the 3rd quarter.
An extra point ekes through that right upright, and a 20-yard touchdown pass thrown by the Eagles. And we got a contest. 10:55, 3rd quarter action, 21 tight is the score as the Eagles convert on the 2nd turnover of the contest.
I'm not going to say I told you so, but I mentioned on multiple occasions to multiple people, this game is going to happen in the 3rd quarter. So
okay,
I called it. Let's just say I called it.
All right, Nostradamus, I get it. I get it.
So
that's fine.
The 3rd quarter of play, I said, look, this game is going to be made in the 3rd quarter. Okay.
And it makes perfect sense, because that's the way things played out last week as well.
Exactly.
If you notice, it was a tight ball game, and the Panthers came out, responded. They made the adjustments, did what they needed to do, forced numerous other turnovers, and didn't look back.
I think the Eagles came out on top, came in to the first half last week on top.
Absolutely.
I think they came in with the edge, and then the Panthers just took a little bit of time to get warmed up. But once they start to click, once the Panthers get going, especially the offensive side of the ball, there's no stopping them. So
we'll see if the Panthers can respond. We got a 21-21 ball game.
Man.
And the Panthers will be able to somewhat recuperate, as they're going to get good field position as the kickoff went out of bounds. So they'll start from their own 35, trying to regroup as the Eagles come out, force a turnover, convert off that turnover, tie it up at 21, and Panthers will get their 2nd offensive possession of the half. 10:55 on the clock here, 3rd quarter action. And this is for all the marbles, folks. These 2 teams have faced off for the 2nd week in a row.
Yeah.
This is for the right to go to the championship. This is semifinal action here in the Southeastern Football Conference. And Panthers in a dog fight with, I guess you would call the
Eagles,
the 3 seed.
Yeah. I'm not too sure, because Pinecrest is up there. So the top 4 teams, not in specific order: Charter, Calvary, Pinecrest, and then Pope.
So they actually 1 against 4.
So
1 against 4 seed, if you want to look at it from that standpoint. Nonetheless, the Panthers trying to answer and see if they can make something happen, taking it on the
Oh, my
fly. And they
goodness.
got a little room
Oh, my
over
goodness.
that left side. He may go the distance. The kicker to beat. He's going to do it. 20, 10, 5. Touchdown, Panthers. How you like me now?
There was no doubt. I'm sitting here looking at the middle of the field, and it is wide open, and I'm getting a look.
And we do have an injured
Oh, my
player
goodness.
for the Panthers. And that was Jackson taking it back from roughly about, I'm going to say about 75 yards out. And he pulled up immediately after he got in the end zone. It's going to be a leg injury.
Yeah,
that's all we know.
It looks like he's definitely grabbing at an area within the knee.
Possibly cramps.
Yeah,
we're going to throw something out there. We'll see.
We're going to hope for a cramp, but oh my goodness, you talk about splitting the Red Sea. Looking at this young man just visualize the attack the entire way, because, I mean, we could see it from here. From our standpoint, it was literally like Moses split the Red Sea.
Seas parted.
And he saw it. Now, don't get me wrong, most players would not hit the hole the way he did, because Calvin Jackson Jr. has speed that, you don't see.
Speed to burn. He can,
Right.
even when you have an angle on him, he can still get you.
Right.
So he is still down. Like I said, if we had to throw something out there and guess, we would say it is a leg injury of some sort, but immediately pulled up after taking that kickoff on the fly from right around the 10 or 15-yard line. We don't know exactly. I want to say it was about so that would be an 85-yard touchdown to the house from Calvin Jackson Jr., busting this one open. Extra point is yet to come, but he is still down, finally up on his own 2 feet. But that would be huge if he can't play the remainder of this one. But nonetheless, he's up, being helped off the field. And he's got a long way to go to get to the sideline, so they're picking him up, helping
him up. So we hope for the best for this young man, because he's definitely a huge impact for this Panther team, not only in this game, but with the score now. If you ended the game right now, Charter's going to the championship, and that's a young man that you need in a championship game.
Oh, no question about it. As I said, Coach Snead spoke heavily about trying to contain this young man and trying to limit his touches. It played out before your very eyes in the first contest. If you think about it, that's why the Panthers were able to get such great field position, because they did not want Jackson returning the ball. He has been walked to the sidelines as he's on the Panther sideline in your screen, and he is being stretched. So it is definitely hamstring issues, as that extra point is up, through and good. 10:42 on the clock.
Wow.
And just as quickly as the Eagles knotted up at 21, Calvin Jackson Jr. makes it happen, taking it back to the house, 85 yards. Panthers back up.
And don't forget, the Twitter feed is live. I got it in front of my face, and we got a quick score update for Calvary. Calvary 24, Pinecrest 19, start of the fourth quarter. So once again, Calvary 24, Pinecrest 19. And just got a lot of action going on the Twitter. Shout out to Miami for joining us. I know that may have been a while ago, but it is active at HSPN Sports. Join the conversation. Once again, once we get close to the fourth quarter action, we'll start lining up who we want for player of the game. So we would like to hear your opinion as well. So hit us up at HSPN Sports.
We've got a tight one, as the Panthers will kick off to the Eagles, see if they can answer the blow. 28-21 is the score, third quarter action. And that one's going to be down right at the 20, as one of the ump men takes that one. I believe that was number 60, pulling that one in on the kickoff. That is Zach Gazula. Excuse me, Zilata, to be exact, as far as pronouncing his name. Took that one, and that's where the Eagles will start off 1st and 10 at their own 20, trying to answer. And we'll see if Jackson is going to be returning back into this game. That will be huge, as we approach the last quarter and a half, and the screen pass complete by the Eagles. That'll be close to the sticks, about maybe 2 yards short.
Yeah, just getting a look, we can obviously see Jackson from the box, and it looks like got some serious cramps down here. They got both legs and just kind of rubbing, just going at those calves. So it's an unfortunate situation, but I always seem to have a chuckle when I see players cramp up because there's a lot of lack of whatever, dehydration, whatever it may be.
Well, and you would think, in any other place besides Florida, that wouldn't be an issue this time of year if you think about it, but it's still so humid. The humidity's just really now starting to leave, so that's still an issue down in these parts. And we do have an injured player down on the far side of the field, and that gentleman is up and running off, so that's good.
And that's Kenneth Bell Jr. at the cornerback position, number 8, and this is the young man that actually plays. They brought him up from the junior varsity team, and he plays quarterback for the junior varsity.
I see.
So brought him up. Last game, they obviously have ended their season. JV, they only go, maybe 8 games. But bringing him up.
Get him some valuable playing time and action,
Absolutely.
And Eagles come back out and complete about an 8-yard pass out when Melanese on the reception. And that'll be enough to keep the Eagle drive alive. Eagles down 7. 28-21 is the score as we approach the 10-minute mark, third quarter action here from the Sportsplex in Coral Springs, Florida. Risk completes the short pass to the near side. Is still brushing off defenders that time. That was Ippolito on the reception. That'll be close to another first down, gain of about 8. So second and short coming up as the Eagles trying to answer. 85-yard kickoff return by Calvin Jackson Jr., who is still currently out of this one. He's up on his feet, but major cramps going on. It's going to be highly unlikely he's going to return to this one. We'll see if the Eagles can recover as they still keep this drive alive.
It may sound bad, but, just as well as I do, we were both athletes at one point in our lives. I feel like everyone has been in that situation.
Oh, of course,
If you haven't dealt with, I've known people that have dealt with full body cramps.
Yeah.
Let alone, calves or
and
just
down.
Hamstrings. So when you get the whole lower body cramp, yes, we have a great reenactment of Coach Perez. But, you have to think about it. If you get the quad, if the quad cramps up, you go to stretch the quad, and then as you're doing that, the hamstring catches. You're just in a position.
Yeah, it's kind of interconnected to some extent,
You just are setting yourself up for failure. Where's the pickle juice when you need it?
And we've got another injured player in the timeout right now. This is an injured Eagle, and we can't see who that player is. He is being helped up, and that is Clark. So that'll be huge for the Eagles if he can't return. He's, of course, their leading rusher.
Yeah.
And he is being helped off the field. That's not looking good if you're an Eagles fan.
Yeah, Clark, not including tonight, had come into this game with 546 rushing yards, 259 receiving yards. So no doubt, total yards, this young man's getting close to 1,000 for the season, probably for tonight. Definitely someone you don't want to lose in this game.
And Risk being pressured, forced Risk to get rid of that one before he wanted to, and that's going to bring up a fourth down on the incompletion. I believe that pass was intended that time for Luke Brinkman for St. John Paul. And that's going to force a punt with carry on back deep for the Panthers. So 8:55 on the clock, 28-21 is your score here from the Sportsplex in Coral Springs, Florida, as we've got playoff action, win or go home style.
Semifinals.
Panthers, Eagles.
Just in and out. These guys right out of the regular season right into the semifinals. Playoffs, only one game, so.
And Carry-On takes the fair catch.
Carson calls for the fair catch.
Yes, Carson.
Excuse me, Carson.
Carson.
Kalen Carson.
Carson, definitely. We've seen, not this situation exactly, but we've seen CJ leave the field before.
Yeah.
And Carson definitely turn up the intensity.
Very true.
Before becoming the workhorse.
Panthers have been in this position before,
They
absolutely.
have. So it's not anything new for the Panthers. CJ Jackson Jr., not the only weapon for the Panthers, offensively and defensively. But like you said, now as well.
He's pretty much the game breaker, though.
Yeah.
He just can't be compared to from a skill standpoint. Yeah. But we will see if the Panthers can still keep it moving. They've definitely done it before as they start off 1st and 10.
And Carson looks to just get run over by his own player right there. Chris Judge kind of laying the wood on his running back, and that's Chris Judge, not someone you want to get in front of. But it looks like Jackson Jr. is up on his feet and pretty mobile right now.
So we're going to call that actually maybe a loss of about 1. So 2nd down and about 11 from the 29, roughly, for the Panthers. Trying to add to that 7-point lead. Kalen Carson on the tote that time. Gain of about 12. That'll move the sticks. Fresh set of downs coming up for the Panthers as they look to run a little clock. On the ground game, 8:02 on the clock here in the third. We still got a tight one. So 3 wide receivers set for Miller. Looking over the defense. Eagles with about a 7-man front defensively, and Carson on the carry once again. He'll get maybe back to the line of scrimmage, and that's it.
Well, I haven't seen too much action out of Zach Weber tonight, usually calling out his name a lot on the offensive side of the ball. And I don't think it's because he's wearing the number 44 instead of 6, but I'm sure really who stepped up. We've called out his name on multiple occasions, Nick Desposito.
Yes.
So we see him out there.
2 INTs last week for him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he stepped up big last week for these Charter Panthers. So 3rd down and about 10. They go straight up the gut, and they might have got maybe 2 or 3, so it's going to bring up a 4th down for the Panthers. We'll see if they give it up.
Getting a short gain, it's going to bring up a 3rd down.
So actually a 3rd down situation. 3rd down and about 7, we'll call it. I actually got my down and distance
Getting ahead
wrong for a quick second. So 3rd down, 7 situation, ball at the 46-yard line. Going with the screen pass to the near side. Carson, he's got some room. Midfield. At the 20, at the 10, 5, he takes it the distance. Touchdown, Panthers.
And that's how it's done. No doubt. We talked about it before.
Kalen Carson on a strike.
We talked about it before. The Panthers, there is no lack on anywhere on the field. So
of weapons.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They can get you from any angle at any point. Kalen Carson taking it to the house from 46 yards out. And we'll see if the Eagles have anything left in them. That's a huge blow to their confidence. Extra point coming up. Snaps back. Kick is up. Through and good.
And that's another one for the Panthers. High school game day here at the Sportsplex. Big shout out to the city of Coral Springs for featuring tonight's game on City TV. So big shout out to the city, and thank you for supporting what we're doing out here tonight with Coral Springs Charter hosting St. John Paul. the second. The Eagles, back-to-back weeks here in the semifinal game. Interesting matchup. If you're just joining us now, we thank you. And the Twitter has definitely slowed down a little bit, but I actually got right here on the Twitter, GG Gask, and I'm going to assume there's relation between Matthias.
Yeah. I'm probably going to go with you on that one.
And it says, I'm going to open it up here. And it says translate. I'm not sure why. But best pant, P-A-N-T.
You're going to have to resend, Gigi.
Yeah,
we can't figure that one out.
Yeah, it says to translate, but I'm not sure. But
maybe that's an inside joke or something we don't know anything about.
No, probably. But we thank you for hitting us up on the Twitter feed. Once again, it is active.
Wallace looking for some room for the Eagles. Get some good field position up across the 30 on a nice return. So if you are an Eagle and your coach Sneed, you got to make something happen on this series.
You do.
This is on the verge of possibly getting out of hand. Down 2 scores once again. Of course, the Panthers have led 3/4 of the way. It was tied at 21 for a short, quick minute, and then Calvin Jackson Jr. came on the scene and busted it back open to a 7-point lead. Panthers score once again. Now they're up 35-21, 6 minutes to be exact remaining here in the third. Eagles start from their own 30. We'll see if Risk can get something going. Flushed out of the pocket, still alive. Get this one out, floats it near side, out of bounds. And that one was intended for number 13, actually. Ippolito. Risk getting that one off. Heavily pressured. Only sacked once, unofficially, stat-wise, by this Panther defense. Forced 10 sacks on this Eagle offense last week. Just swarming.
Yeah, and I said
last week.
The Twitter feed active. Once again, Eagle 6 Group. At Eagle 6 Group, Panthers offense is rolling. And yes, indeed, they are rolling tonight, putting things together. C.J. Jackson taking his time on the sideline to get things going. I'm not sure if
he is actually coming back in the ball game, Ryan. That is huge.
Yeah. They're going to put him back in, and like we said, it looked like just cramps.
Yeah.
Calves.
Good old-fashioned cramps.
Get some pickle juice in them, but this young man's back in the game. But, I mean, I don't think they missed a beat with Carson.
That speaks to how deep they are and how good they are.
Right.
Absolutely. And pressured.
Wow.
And almost picked off by Weber. Ran into his own man, or it would have been an INT for this Panther defense.
No doubt. I know Weber's probably frustrated. I can see him walking off the field. Definitely want to get his hands on that. And Risk just taking a chance.
Yeah.
And looked like he was possibly going to get a sack, and he just let it go.
Floated that one up there. Dodged a bullet, did this Eagle offense, but they're going to have to give it back. Kalen Carson is back deep for the return. So we'll see if Calvin Jackson will be on the offensive side of the football when the Panthers get it back. 5:39 on the clock, 35-21 is your score. Eagles have led pretty much the entire way in this one. And Carson's probably not going to get a chance as it takes an Eagle bounce. And nice punt that time is going to die just short of the 20, around the 18. And that's where the Panthers will take over 1st and 10.
Yeah, once again, watch HSPN. These games, regardless of who we're covering, they go viral every week. Watch HSPN on Bleacher. Florida Varsity, Florida Gridiron Preps, Florida High School Football America, and never had it so good sports radio.
Okay, so 1st and 10 coming up for the Panthers, up 14 in this one. 5:26 on the clock, 3rd quarter action. Southeastern Football Conference championship action semifinals is what we've got for you here from the Sportsplex in Coral Springs, Florida. Chris Jenkins, Ryan Stett on the mics with you here on HSPN Sports. Miller in the shotgun. Of course, spread set once again for them. They keep it on the ground, and it's got some room. Kalen Carson, check that, carry on, shaking a tackle, and they keep coming at you.
They just keep producing.
Someone different.
And I was going to say, I'm sitting here looking, and I'm saying that is not a run by Kalen Carson, because that young man is running. I mean, you look at Michael Carrion, you get up close to him. Pound for pound, he looks like a man.
Yeah.
I mean, he is jacked.
Not as much burst as Carson.
Right, exactly.
Not as much burst. You're being nice.
Yeah.
But still rolling. That time was Carrion and has the Panthers in great field position as we're under 5 now, just short of the 40. Fresh set of downs for the Panthers.
And score update, 35-21. The Panthers are up here in the fourth quarter. Is it fourth quarter yet?
No, third quarter
It's
action.
still the third quarter.
Carry on, gets it, and at least 3 different Eagles in for the stop. And they actually back him up. He's probably going to lose 2 or 3 yards on the carry. It's second down. So as we come up on the 4-minute mark, Panthers up 35-21 is your score. Had a close one as we went into the second half, 21 tight for a quick minute. Panthers have put 14 unanswered on the board and trying to keep rolling as they try and keep that undefeated mark intact coming into this one 9-0. And they keep it on the ground once again. And that is Kalen Carson. He gets back to the original line of scrimmage, maybe 1 or so. So it's going to bring up about a third down, and we'll call it about 10 or so. Ball spotted at the Eagle 40.
And haven't heard too much action out of the Calvary Pinecrest game, so if anybody's out there following that game on Twitter, retweet it. Hit HSPN Sports. We're looking for a score update here at the Sportsplex.
Pass incomplete that time, intended for Carson, making almost an excellent defensive play. Kyle Corona, he has returned to this Eagle lineup. He was injured, so Eagles glad to have him as well as Nestor.
Yeah,
we've called his name numerous times tonight. Back in action for the Eagles tonight. So Panthers unable to convert, and looks like they're going to punt, give this one back to the Eagles with an opportunity to try and get something as we are winding down here in the third toward the fourth. Gask gets this one up, a high directional punt, and it's going to roll into the end zone, and that'll be a touchback.
And a quick shout-out back on the Twitter feed. Finland has joined us. Germany, Rock Hill, and Slovenia.
Just got a quick update. Don't mean to interrupt, Ryan, but Calvary is headed to the championship. 38-19.
38-19 Calvary up on Pinecrest. Did we get a time? I'm sure they're in the fourth quarter. Last time we heard it was in the fourth quarter.
Fourth quarter. Okay.
It is definitely the fourth quarter. We don't have a time update, but Calvary on their way.
Yes. Eagles, they complete the pass. Maybe got back to the line of scrimmage over that far side. I believe that is actually Dominic Melanites, of course.
So it's interesting because Calvary actually has 2 losses for the season. One from Charter and one from Pinecrest. So they've lost to Pinecrest before. So that would be quite interesting to see, because I want to say out of the 4 teams, they have the most losses.
Very good point.
Just out of the 4, though.
Eagles putting it up far side. Did he catch that one? No. Incomplete. Intended once again for Melanice. And he might have pulled that one in, but I think it was out of bounds. So incomplete pass. And we have another injured player. I believe this is an injured Eagle. We'll tell you who that is. Clock stopped with 2:39 remaining here in the third. And I believe that is Risk that is down. So that would be almost the death blow to this
Yeah, that would not be
St.
good.
John Paul team if he is unable to return. But once again, I believe that is Risk that is down. Ryan Risk, the sophomore QB for the Eagles.
And I want to say, based on the stats that we're looking at, Tribby, possibly their backup,
the backup
quarterback, and he's only a freshman. So just looking at stats, we're going from a 2,000-yard player to -8.
They can almost mail this one in if they have to go that route. They're already down, been battling, trying to stay in this one.
Right.
But
with one TD. So
and Risk is up. Just got up.
So that's what we have for a backup situation based on what it says on paper, but we're not too sure game time decision. But good thing that young man is back up.
Hopefully he'll be able to return to give these Eagles any chance to stay in this one. They are in a hole. Currently 35-21 is your score. Panthers have led pretty much the whole way. It's been tied at 21, but Panthers have never trailed in this one. And they do have to go with the backup quarterback, Ryan, at least for one play. We'll see if Connor Tribby, the 5'10 freshman, can make something happen. A 3rd and 10 situation, and they're going to keep it conservative, stay on the ground, and actually lose 2 or 3.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for the freshman. It's been tough for the sophomore, the starter.
Absolutely.
This defensive line between Rodriguez, Judge, Papaleo, and I'm missing one of them, Carry-On. Those guys are lethal at the defensive line position. So if Risk doesn't get a chance to get back in the game, I think, and I don't say this often, but, put the nail in the coffin.
It's going to be tough, extremely tough for these Eagles to overcome that if he does not return. We'll see in the next offensive series if he does. 2 Panthers set to return. Panthers look like they may have really good field position, barring a nice kick from St. John Paul. 1-20, and they go with a little pooch kick. Might have gotten 20 yards, and that's another gift for this Panther offense as they're going to start inside once more of Eagle territory. Ball spotted around the 39.
And Jackson's back out there on the offensive side. Dominic Grassi has been on the field the majority of the night. Haven't seen too much out of him. Desposito. But we'll get a chance to see Miller once again take charge for the offensive side. Aquaviva in the backfield. And potential points once again here for the Panthers.
This could be the nail in the proverbial coffin if the Panthers can make something happen on this offensive possession. Already up 14, 35-21, but 1:14 on the clock here in the third. And they start off looking good inside of Eagle territory. Aguaviva on the carry. Might have got back to the line of scrimmage. Still going to be about a second and about 10, maybe actually even 11. As the ball's just across the 40.
Carry-on's going to replace Aquaviva at the running back position. It looks like we got another Panther down.
These cramps have started to creep up heavily on both teams at this team.
Spreading like a virus out here. And like you said, for our audience, and we can obviously see that we're getting a lot of people outside of Florida. Well, here's the bottom line. It's humid down here. So
yes,
it's just sucking the moisture.
The humidity just does not leave until at least around middle of December from what I've experienced.
Right. Well,
which is very unlike any other place in the country.
Right.
You got snow and you got
seasons.
problems.
We have seasons in other places.
Exactly.
In America, but we lack our ability to produce seasons here down on the equator. And that looks like Kalen Carson was actually down. And it looks like he's getting the same thing that CJ had, little cramps possibly. But, yes, brutal here on a fall October day. Getting close to Halloween and no breeze.
Mm-hmm.
No breeze. We're sweating.
Yep.
In the box once again.
Welcome to South Florida. So under 50 seconds now here in the third. And second down and long situation for the Panthers coming out of the injury timeout. 3 wide receivers to the near, 1 to the far. They keep it on the ground to carry on. And he is swallowed up. Big-time Eagle defense. Host of Eagles forcing about a 2 or 3 yard loss. Brings up a third and about 13 or 14 coming up as we're under 30 seconds now here.
2 plays on the ground. Not too much success with this third down situation and long.
And that looks like
and they're going to let it wind down. And fourth quarter action coming up. Panthers nursing a 14-point lead as we go into the fourth.
Yep.
35-21.
Big one here from the Sportsplex in Coral Springs. Big shout out to City TV for featuring tonight's broadcast. Big shout out to the city of Coral Springs for the support of HSPN Sports and these 2 football programs. Charter kind of leading the way, I would say, for the programs in Coral Springs.
Absolutely.
We've done features, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, Coral Springs High School, and Charter really exceeding expectations this year with an undefeated, the second year undefeated at home, and the first year ever in Charter school history for an undefeated season. So
absolutely. Trying to protect that 9-0 record, trying to move to double-digit wins, stay undefeated, and move on to the Southeastern Football Championship. 1 quarter away from a possible rematch with Nemesis Calvary Christian.
So here's the interesting thing. Last year we had a chance to go to FAU. This year it's at Pompano Beach High School.
Yeah. November 14th, I believe, is when that championship game will take place.
So a big transition. You know, we're talking about College Stadium, and then we're going over to Pompano Beach. I've been to Pompano Beach in years, but hey, you know, as long as there's a football field.
They'll play it in the dirt
if it's for
the championship. And Calvin Jackson Jr. gets one as it gets floats up, shakes the defender, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and just that quick, touchdown Panthers, nail the coffin.
He's calling it. He's calling it for a couple of seconds into the fourth quarter, and Chris Jenkins is calling nailing the coffin, and your boy over here is going to say there's hope. So C.J. Jackson Jr. coming off the bench due to some serious cramps. I want to say the last time he was in the game, he scored.
Yeah.
But he's been in the game, had a couple.
That's his first touch since he got back into the contest.
Really?
And took it 40 yards to the house.
Interesting.
Unbelievable. This young man is electric. That's the best word I can use to describe him. I've said it over and over.
Last 2 times he's had the ball in his hands, he's scored. Outstanding.
And keep in mind, he's uncommitted. Still uncommitted.
Oh, man. That makes it even more interesting. So college coaches out there.
Salivating. You have to be.
Yes. Because this young man, he's not only going to play at the next level, but he is projected to play high. Gotcha. He's going to play at most likely the Division I level.
No question. He has that kind of talent, game breaker. He is the difference maker in a championship type of game because you just simply cannot match up with him. He took about a 10-yard slant route once again and just did what he does best.
Yeah, exactly. So, and, since you're calling nail in the coffin, I guess we can call for tomorrow night. I'm already getting some stuff on the Twitter feed talking about the big one featured tomorrow night on HSPN Sports. Deerfield Beach Bucks are hosting the undefeated Piper Bengals. The 8A11 district championship. So that's going to be a big one. Will be interesting to see who else will be there, but nevertheless, excited to feature another Friday night under the lights.
Yeah, it should be a great one tomorrow. Two heavyweights in the Class 8A. Looking forward to it.
And that's exactly what it is, heavyweights. Deerfield probably should be undefeated. Big surprise win over St. Thomas Aquinas, but only loss was to Jacksonville Bulls, which was, I want to say out of state, but. And we're bringing in Coach Perez for the broadcast tomorrow, doing an outstanding job. Once again, always thankful for the administration here at Coral Springs Charter, going above and beyond.
Absolutely,
for us, providing all that we need here, just doing these broadcasts. So big shout out to them and Coach Perez tonight, really helping us out.
We'll see if the Eagles can get something going. They come back and they are barreling into Panther territory, but they're in a hole at this point, Ryan. They've got to get points quick, fast, and in a hurry, down 41-21.
Yeah, so a risk right there, matching up with one of his favorites, no doubt, Milanese, number 4. Finally really hooking up with these guys, and like you said, Chris, they got to put something together here.
So going up top, once again, is risk. Flag on the play. We'll see if this one's going to come back. So hurry-up offense looked like. We've got holding, so that'll back the Eagles up 10 yards. So a missed extra point is why we have a 41-21 score. 11:19 on the clock, fourth quarter of play here from the Sportsplex. And Charter looks like they are on their way, barring some kind of an Eagle miracles. There's a spot foul penalty, and that will back the Eagles up. Ball's at the 43, and it'll be 1st and 20. So Eagles being forced to put it up in the air. Risk put it up 35 times last week through 4 picks, 1 TD. And once again in territory that's familiar to them, well, they're going to be forced to have to put it up in the air to try and get back in this one. Clock stopped with 11:12 on the clock here in the fourth quarter. But Panthers with some breathing room at this point, looking good.
I don't think they'll slow down. We're sitting here looking at, Carson. These guys, an important thing to take note is these guys got to make sure they're healthy for the championship game. We're sitting here talking about, based on the score, 41 points, 21. They got plenty of breathing room. So, your Coach Miller, I'm not saying that, you take an account, start pulling guys, no doubt. Don't start pulling guys, but just keep in mind.
Maybe start monitoring a little bit.
Just keep in mind. Maybe go send someone to get some Gatorade tablets or something. Get these guys hydrated.
Yeah. So coming up on the 10-minute, 30-second mark here in regulation. Panthers in control at this point, up 3 touchdowns as Risk and the Eagles put it up in there once again. Incomplete. And I believe that one was intended for Milanese once more. And that's going to bring up a 4th down situation. And I think the Eagles are going to punt. But at this point, you want to start considering going for it on 4th down.
Yeah.
As clock is becoming a factor.
Yeah.
10:26 remaining here in regulation. Calvin Jackson Jr. back deep once again.
Last time we saw a punt, I don't want to say the last time, but the last time I remember seeing a punt out of the Eagles, it might as well have been an offensive play.
Absolutely.
Because it great field position, and A.J. Miller throws an interception in his own territory and falls into a touchdown.
So the Eagles give this one up, but it does not take the hop that they need for it to take, and it's going to die at the 35, and that's where the Panthers will take over 1st and 10. Once again, a game where they've had great field position most of the contest.
Yeah.
Actually, average field position for them in the last game, their own 35, 40-yard line. It's pretty much been a carbon copy of that, with the exception of one or two series where they've started deep in their own territory. So
Right.
Panthers got a gift once again.
Yeah. And still all starters in the game. Haven't seen too much rotating. But they're trying to seal the deal here. I think they don't think they have enough breathing room.
Probably not. I would agree with you on that. So still 10-17 remaining here in the contest. 41-21 the count. Panthers up. And they're going to go with the carry.
Carry on.
To carry on.
Yeah.
To the near side.
Like we've talked about, these guys can rotate, especially at the running back position.
Yeah.
That's where they got plenty of depth. Carry
Yeah,
on,
absolutely.
Aquaviva, Carson. If Cam was dressed out, Cam Perez can fill that role. And
a great carry on that one, just short of 10 yards to pick up the first down. So we got a second down and inches situation coming up. We'll see how conservative the Panthers will be as they try and chew on that clock, as we're under 10 now, coming up on the 9-minute, 30-second mark, fourth quarter of play. Panthers, plenty of breathing room, and carry on the carry once again. I think he's going to have enough to move the sticks and keep the series alive for the Panthers. And that will be enough. Fresh set of downs coming up for the Panthers, coming up on the 9-minute mark here in the fourth. Panthers look like they're on a collision course with Calvary Christian to try and get some redemption, as they came up short in the championship last year against that team. That team leading, last time we checked, 38-19 in the fourth over Pinecrest. These two teams will be matching up once again, as it looks right now, on November 14th from Pompano Beach Stadium. And 38-21 is the updated score we've got for you. As the fellas helping us out. 38-26 is the score currently.
for who? Calvary?
Calvary and Pinecrest.
Did we get a time yet?
In the fourth.
Yeah, it's got to be.
That's all we know.
It's got to be getting close. This game tonight started at 7:30, so we're going to assume that they started around the same time.
Yeah.
So it's getting close to the end of that game, but 38-26, that's not too far off, depending on time. So Pinecrest has beaten Calvary in the regular season, so no excuse.
Right. Panthers keep it on the ground once again. Aquaviva on the carry, gain of about 3 or 4. And clock is ticking. Coming up on the 8-minute mark here left in this one. 41-21 is your score. Panthers have led the entire way. We had a tie for a couple of minutes. And Calvin Jackson Jr. ended that, taking it back 85 yards on a kickoff return. Panthers have not looked back since then. 4 wide receivers set, 1 back in the backfield, and they got to keep it on the ground once again and churning forward, still rolling. Michael Aquaviva.
Looks like it's going to bring up a 3rd down and inches again.
Panthers will have him back as he's just a junior. But Panthers chewing up that clock at this point. 3 or 4 minute drive that they're currently on as we come up on the 7-minute mark here left in regulation. 3rd and short. And we've got a stoppage of play. It's just a switch of footballs. So 3rd and 1 coming up. Panthers can pick up another first down, chew up 2 or 3 more minutes if they can convert here. Shotgun once again for Miller. 4 wide receiver set. They keep it on the ground once again to carry on. Breaking tackles, picks up the first, and then some. That'll keep it moving.
First down, Panthers!
And you got to wonder at this point.
Patriots 12, Dolphins 0.
You got to wonder at this point if the Eagles will even get a chance to score again.
Well, like you said, the Panthers are chewing up a decent amount of time, and based on the last possession, with hopes that punt, it was a fourth and forever. I would say about 25, maybe 30 yards, fourth down situation. So, highly unlikely you're going to try and go for it there. But even if they get the chance to get the ball back and have an opportunity to score, we just haven't seen enough success to be confident in throwing out, opinions like that. So that's our only concern. And like I said before, it's quite a surprise to me. I'm always up for a good underdog, win in any situation, any game. So, looking at it from the Eagles last week, it's kind of like, who really had the upper hand coming into this game? The undefeated Panthers because, they beat them last week. We already know how to beat them. Or is it the Eagles saying, hey, you got us this time, but it ain't going to happen again?
Well, Panthers have definitely cleaned up their act from a turnover standpoint. I believe only one unofficially on the night, as Aquaviva might have enough to keep the sticks moving once again. Panthers content with keeping it on the ground, and he's knocked out of bounds. Thought he got more yards than he did. Yes, they are giving him enough to keep the sticks moving. And we've got an official timeout for a water break, but the clock stopped. But only 5:24 remaining here left in this one. Panthers up 3 scores at this point.
So we finally are getting from the Twitter feed, Florida High School Football is telling us Fort Lauderdale Calvary Christian is going to the big show with a 30-point score over Pinecrest 26. That is final. So Calvary Christian wins it 38-26 over Pinecrest, and they will meet. What did you say, Chris? November 21st?
November 14th.
November 14th is the date we've got. Designated date for the championship game for the Southeastern Football Conference. So
that is at Pompano Beach High School.
Yeah.
And these two teams will meet for the second straight year. It looks, barring some kind of miracle, with only 5:24 remaining, the Coral Springs Charter Panthers will get another shot at Calvary Christian Academy for the Southeastern Football 3A Championship.
So that's big.
Huge.
2 losses to Calvary last year, once in the regular season, then still making it to the championship game, and just really, it was almost sad because the Panthers looked like they could have done a lot more in that championship game. Ultimately, coming up with the loss this year, taking a chance with Calvary.
Yes.
So, yeah, the Panthers coming into this one with definitely a different mindset, no doubt. Undefeated, second time undefeated at home, and first time in history the Panthers are undefeated for the season. So,
and they look to move to 10-0 as they keep it on the ground. They're chewing up clock. Lost yards to that last carry by Aquaviva, and it's going to bring up a 2nd and goal, ball spotted around the 9. We'll see if they can punch it in one more time to end this one as we come up on the 4-minute mark. And we do have a quarterback keeper by A.J. Miller, and he plunges forward for about 4 or 5. So we got a 3rd and goal situation. Only thing left to be answered as to what the final is going to be in this one.
Right.
Charter will be facing Calvary Christian for the championship. 2nd straight year these two teams will go at it. And Jackson puts it up in the air, back of the end zone corner, and he's going to add a passing touchdown.
My goodness.
To the stats.
My goodness. So this young man, 3 touchdowns, 1 passing.
9-yard touchdown pass just thrown by Calvin Jackson Jr.
And we apologize for that giant pole. So if you missed it, Calvin Jackson takes it around, looked like a reverse of some sort, and just going to throw it 9 yards to the back of the end zone. So this young man is going to have 2 touchdowns on his own and 1 touchdown passing in the air. So redeeming himself from last week's interception.
Yeah.
Every time he had a chance to throw the football.
And threw that one to Zach Weber.
Okay, so Zach is in the books now for the game.
So 3 touchdowns for Calvin Jackson Jr. unofficially on the night. 1 passing, 1 kickoff return, 1 receiving touchdown.
I hear in the back of my head, player of the game watch. Possible.
It's
possible. I mean, it's to a point where you want to be considerate of all the great athletes.
You want to be
field.
diverse a little bit too,
right.
but I mean, goodness.
When you have a young man that just takes advantage of his abilities, on the field, what was it, a 90-yard kickoff?
85-yard kickoff
85-yard kickoff return, and then
40-yard receiving.
Yeah.
And now just threw, I believe that was an 8-yard pass to Zach Weber.
Right. So it just it's like the Boobie Miles thing. He can run.
Yeah.
He paints your back porch, and he can pass.
Mm-hmm. Build your birdhouse, and
he does it all.
Yeah.
So quite the excitement here from the Sportsplex in Coral Springs. Once again, we thank the city of Coral Springs, City TV, for featuring tonight's game of Coral Springs Charter Panthers and the Eagles of St. John Paul II, a semifinal game here at the Sportsplex. We thank all the staff from the Sportsplex for making things a lot easier for us, getting set up with the broadcast on a weekly basis. We've done, I want to say, every single one of Charter's home games this year live on HSPN Sports. So I may be wrong, but I want to say that we've covered every single one of their games at home.
Yeah.
And now we're getting the playoff game here on Thursday. And honestly, man, it makes us a lot easier to get 2 games a week, and it's local. I'm about that life, so.
And they have taken well advantage of the exposure.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The staff, after doing a couple of rebroadcasts over at Buffalo Wild Wings, they definitely make note of coming up to us and expressing their appreciation.
Yeah.
For not only us coming out and spotlighting, but really the entire HSPN staff. We broke records last week, which is still blowing my mind. We average 1.2 million reach a month on social media. A month. Mm-hmm. Now, last week we had a double feature. Last week we hit 1.03 million in a week. In a week. So quite interesting analytics for us, and it may not mean a lot to too many people, but that is a substantial amount of audience for a small school like the Coral Springs Charter. So
that point can't be understated.
Right.
Eagles trying to mix it up a little bit as Risk is back in the contest, has been back in the contest for the Eagles. Got a little opportunity to gather himself after that series in the last quarter where he got injured momentarily. But this one's pretty much the lady has sung, and she's left the building at this point.
Yeah, I hear you. And Eagle 6 group on the Twitter feed is agreeing on to the championship. Bring it home. So congratulations from the Eagle 6 group to the CSC Panthers for really sealing the deal here and doing an outstanding job the entire season. So at this point, with 2 minutes remaining, I think it's appropriate time. We didn't get our player of the game last week on the broadcast, so I think it's appropriate time. I got my guy in mind, and I think we're on the same page.
Yeah, and this is intercepted.
Oh, my
goodness. And taken back the other way, so we've got flags. We got to see how this shakes out.
Oh, that's fantastic. That is fantastic. The young man gets an interception, and then runs 5 yards, including just trying to get it back. And it's ripped out by Milanese.
He didn't give up on it. That pass was initially intended for him, as we see how this whole thing shakes out. But, this was pretty much academic. 1:42 on the clock. 48-21 is the count.
Yeah.
Coral Springs Charter headed to the championship for the second straight year, and they will face, once again, Calvary Christian Academy. Pompano Beach, November 14th, will be the championship for the Southeastern Football Conference.
So I'm just gonna go out and say it.
Mm-hmm.
Player of the game, C.J. Jackson Jr.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There's just
3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
1 being in the air.
Mm-hmm.
85-yard kick return.
That one put him over the top. And actually, it's in all fairness that we give it to him, because we're looking at a 21-21 ball game.
Right.
And he takes the kickoff back 85 yards.
And then he doesn't
to
see
put him back up.
He doesn't see the field.
Absolutely. Got in.